California is a state of contrasts. Sun-drenched beaches, bustling cities, and sprawling forests, hiding secrets you won't find on any tourist map. But for the brave or the foolish, there are trails that whisper of tragedy, of lives lost, and spirits that refuse to leave. Tonight, we're venturing off the beaten path to explore the most 25 haunted hikes in California. Each one carries stories that have chilled hikers for decades. From shadowy figures glimpsed through the fog to eerie voices carried by the wind. So lace up your boots, keep a flashlight handy, and prepare to step into trails where the natural beauty meets the supernatural. Mount Tamalpais, rising majestically above Marin County, has long drawn hikers, nature enthusiasts, and photographers seeking sweeping views of the Bay Area. Its rolling ridges, towering redwoods, and winding trails create a landscape of serene beauty, but beneath this natural splendor lies a layer of haunting mystery. Locals speak in hushed tones about the Lady in White, a spectral figure said to roam the trails as dusk falls. Her presence as chilling as the fog that often drifts across the ridgelines. The legend of the Lady in White is tied to a tragic story from decades past. She is said to be the spirit of a young woman whose lover fell to his death while hiking the steep cliffs of Tamalpais. Heartbroken and unable to endure her loss, she wandered the trails, her grief consuming her. Some versions of the tale suggest she too succumbed to sorrow, dying near the same cliffs. Others claim she remained tethered to the world by an unrelenting sense of longing, her spirit eternally seeking the one she lost. Hikers who encounter her report an overwhelming sense of sadness, as though the atmosphere itself has been touched by grief. Those who venture onto Mount Tamalpais trails during twilight often recount an uncanny chill that descends without warning. One hiker described walking along a ridge just as the fog rolled in, feeling the temperature drop dramatically despite the mild evening air. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying a faint scent of flowers that were not in bloom anywhere nearby. This peculiar fragrance, sweet yet subtly mournful, is one of the hallmarks of the Lady in White's presence. It lingers briefly, fading as quickly as it appears, leaving hikers questioning whether what they sensed was real or imagined. Visual encounters are rarer but more startling. Several hikers report glimpsing a slender figure in a flowing white gown, gliding silently along the trail or standing near the edge of a cliff. The figure moves with an ethereal grace, almost floating above the earth, and vanishes when approached, leaving only the lingering scent of blossoms and the sound of distant, sorrowful sobs. The fog that frequently envelops the mountain seems to aid her, masking her approach and departure, creating an impression that she is both part of the mountain and separate from it. A spirit embedded in the natural world, yet entirely otherworldly. Even seasoned hikers and locals who know the trails well are not immune to her presence. One experienced mountaineer recalled reaching a clearing near a familiar viewpoint and noticing a woman in white standing just beyond a grove of trees. At first he thought it was another hiker, but as he called out, the figure vanished into the mist without a sound. Only the scent of flowers remained, and an inexplicable heaviness in the air suggested that he had witnessed something beyond explanation. Moments later, the fog lifted, and the clearing appeared entirely normal, as though nothing had happened. The Lady in White is also said to interact with the emotional states of those she encounters. Hikers report an intense wave of sorrow or melancholy descending upon them, often accompanied by a profound sense of empathy for the figure's loss. Some have felt compelled to stop, sit quietly, or whisper words of comfort, sensing that acknowledgement of her grief is the only way to appease the lingering spirit. Others, however, experience fear and anxiety, as if the mountain itself recognizes and amplifies their trepidation. This emotional resonance contributes to the haunting allure of Mt. Tamalpais, making even daytime visits an experience that feels imbued with unseen forces. Stories of the Lady in White often coincide with atmospheric phenomena common to Mount Tamalpais. The mountain is known for sudden mists, gusty winds, and shifting light that can make ordinary shapes appear ghostly. Yet witnesses insist that what they see goes beyond optical illusion. The figure appears with intention, her movements deliberate and mournful, Unlike the random play of shadows or fog, even skeptics who attempt to rationalize the sightings acknowledge that the experiences are profoundly affecting, leaving hikers with a lingering sense of presence long after they descend the trails. Some hikers also report hearing soft, almost musical weeping echoing through the canyons. The sound is subtle, often mistaken for the rustling of leaves or distant animal calls, but those attuned to the mountain as legends recognize it as a signal of the Lady in White. The sobbing is described as melodic and sorrowful, carrying the weight of decades of grief. For those who hear it, the effect is visceral, evoking empathy and fear in equal measure. Many hikers claim they have never encountered a more emotionally charged apparition, one that seems to convey loss not as a story, but as an experiential reality. Over the years, the legend of the Lady in White has become an inseparable part of the Mount Tamalpais hiking experience. Local folklore keeps the story alive, passed from seasoned hikers to newcomers who traverse the winding trails. Some treat the tale as cautionary, a reminder to respect the mountain's dangers and the fragility of life. Others view it as a ghost story meant to thrill, a spectral figure that adds mystery to an already captivating landscape. Regardless, the Lady in White continues to appear in conversations, blogs, and social media posts, each new account reinforcing the haunting atmosphere of the mountain. The presence of the Lady in White illustrates a broader theme common to haunted landscapes, the intertwining of tragedy and memory. She embodies the mountain's past, a lingering trace of human sorrow embedded within natural beauty. Hikers who experience her presence often leave the trails changed, carrying an awareness of both loss and the uncanny. Some return multiple times, hoping to catch another glimpse or to offer comfort, while others avoid the mountain at dusk altogether, wary of encountering grief made flesh in spectral form. In the end, Mt. Tamalpais remains a place where natural splendor meets the supernatural. Its ridges, forests, and fog-laden trails provide the perfect stage for the Lady in White, a spirit whose sorrow has transcended time. Whether a guardian of memory, a remnant of tragedy, or a manifestation of the mountain's own consciousness, she continues to wander the trails, unseen yet deeply felt. For hikers, her presence is a reminder that some landscapes hold more than beauty, they carry echoes of the past. Torrey Pines State Natural Reserve stretches along the rugged coastline of San Diego, offering hikers panoramic views of the Pacific Ocean, jagged cliffs, and the delicate, windswept Torrey Pines, for which the park is named. By day, the trails are filled with the sound of crashing waves, seabirds calling overhead, and the chatter of visitors exploring the reserve's unique beauty. But as night falls and the fog drifts in from the ocean, a different atmosphere emerges, one that is whispered about by locals and hikers alike, a presence that turns the scenic trails into a corridor of unease. Stories of the paranormal at Torrey Pines often center on hikers who vanish along the bluff trails. Some disappear without a trace, leaving friends and park rangers baffled. Witnesses who happen upon these trails after such incidents sometimes report hearing faint, high-pitched screams echoing from the canyons below, carrying on the wind in a way that seems almost sentient. The sound is not constant but sporadic, sometimes rising into a sharp wail that disappears as suddenly as it arrived. Those who have heard it describe a sense of urgency and terror in the cry, as though someone or something is trapped between worlds, calling out for help that cannot be reached. Hikers often remark that the edges appear sharper at night, the shadows deeper, and the fog heavier than any natural weather pattern should allow. Some claim that paths they have traversed countless times in daylight seem altered after sunset, with twists and turns that leave them disoriented. A faint path may vanish behind a cluster of pines, or the cliffs may seem steeper, more treacherous, as if the landscape itself is reshaping to protect or trap those who wander too far. Shadowy forms are frequently reported among the twisted Torrey pines that cling stubbornly to the rocky slopes. Hikers have described figures moving just beyond their vision, vanishing when directly looked at. Some witnesses report glimpsing humanoid shapes, tall and thin, slipping silently between the trees with unnatural speed. Others describe darker, more amorphous forms, seemingly made of shadow itself, darting across the bluff as though keeping watch on the trails below. Many hikers feel an eerie sensation of being observed, a presence that follows them even when no one is visible. The forest, it seems, is alive not with ordinary wildlife, but with something far more elusive and attentive. One of the most unsettling aspects of Torrey Pines haunting is the sensation of time distortion reported by visitors. Hikers who have encountered these shadowy figures or heard the unearthly screams describe moments that stretch unnaturally. A short walk along the bluff can feel like hours, or a fleeting glance at the ocean may seem suspended in time. Some theorize that the cliffs and fog create optical illusions, but the consistency of these reports suggests a deeper, more inexplicable phenomenon. The experience often leaves a lingering unease, long after hikers have returned to the safety of parking lots or well-lit streets. Several accounts describe inexplicable changes in the natural environment during these encounters. Rocks are sometimes found stacked into small cairns in places where no one has been, or fallen branches appear arranged deliberately across the path. Others report sudden gusts of wind that carry the scent of salt water and flowers, though no flora is nearby to explain it. Hikers have also spoken of hearing footsteps on the soft dirt trails, echoing behind them, only to find nothing when they turn. The repeated sensation is that the cliffs and forests are inhabited by an intelligence that cannot be explained, observing with quiet curiosity or perhaps warning. Local lore attributes some of the haunting to the long history of the land. Before European settlers arrived, the area was inhabited by Native American communities who regarded the cliffs and forests with reverence. Some believe that the spirits of those who lived, loved, and died along these shores have remained, their presence intertwined with the land itself. Others theorize that Torrey Pines, with its precarious cliffs and hidden canyons, naturally attracts paranormal energy, a threshold where the physical world and the supernatural converge. Even those who hike purely for pleasure report feelings that defy rational explanation. An experienced park ranger recounted guiding a group along the higher bluff trails when they heard faint screams drifting from a distant canyon. The sound was not close enough for anyone to see its source, yet it carried a raw, emotional intensity that left the group shaken. Moments later, shadows appeared between the pines, darting silently among the trunks. The ranger, accustomed to the park's wildlife and coastal fog, admitted that nothing in his experience could account for what he saw or heard. Torrey Pines haunting is subtle, yet pervasive. Visitors do not necessarily encounter dramatic apparitions or terrifying confrontations. Instead, the terror lies in the accumulation of small, inexplicable experiences. A fleeting shadow, a sudden chill, a distant cry all converge to create an atmosphere of suspense and unease. Many hikers describe a sense of respect for the land after these encounters, a realization that the cliffs and forests are alive with history, memory, and forces beyond ordinary comprehension. The haunting of Torrey Pines State Natural Reserve serves as a reminder that even the most beautiful landscapes can harbor hidden stories of tragedy, loss, and the unexplained. The cliffs, the fog, and the twisted pines form a stage for experiences that blur the line between reality and the supernatural. Whether these sightings are echoes of the past, manifestations of collective fear, or encounters with spirits who never left, the stories persist, drawing curious hikers and thrill-seekers alike. For those who venture along the bluff trails after sunset, Torrey Pines offers more than a view. It offers an encounter with the unknown. The shadows may watch, the wind may carry whispers, and the fog may conceal figures just beyond sight. Hikers leave with their senses heightened, hearts racing, and minds filled with questions that may never be answered. And for many, the experience leaves an enduring impression that the cliffs, the canyons, and the twisted pines of Torrey Pines are not just part of a scenic reserve. They are a threshold into a world where the living and the unseen coexist, eternally intertwined. Eaton Canyon, nestled in the foothills of Pasadena, is a haven for hikers seeking scenic trails, rushing streams, and the majestic beauty of the San Gabriel Mountains. By day, the canyon teems with families, photographers, and nature enthusiasts, all drawn by its waterfalls, lush vegetation, and the sense of calm the mountains provide. Yet beneath this natural charm lies a shadowed history, one that locals whisper about and hikers occasionally encounter, darker side of Eaton Canyon, where the past lingers, and where the spirits of those who met untimely ends continue to wander the trails. The canyon's reputation for the supernatural is tied to several tragic incidents over the years. Hikers have lost their footing along steep paths. Others have succumbed to heat or sudden flash floods, and some have vanished entirely, never to be found. These misfortunes have left a lingering impression on the landscape, a sense that the canyon itself remembers its tragedies. Those who explore the trails after sunset or on quiet mornings sometimes report chilling experiences that defy explanation, encounters that hint at the presence of unseen watchers moving among the rocks and trees. A hallmark of Eaton Canyon's hauntings is the sudden drop in temperature experienced near certain rock formations. Hikers recount walking along sunlit trails only to be struck by an inexplicable chill, the air around them feeling heavy, dense, and unnervingly cold. Some have described the sensation as if an invisible hand passed over their shoulders. A cold draft that seems to move with intention rather than the whim of the wind. These chills are often accompanied by a prickling sensation on the skin and the sense that someone or something is standing just out of sight, observing. Whispers are another phenomenon reported along the trails. Hikers claim to hear voices that mimic footsteps, as if others are following them closely. Yet, when they turn, the path is empty. Sometimes the whispers are coherent, faint phrases carried on the wind. Other times, they are indecipherable murmurs, rising and falling with the rustle of leaves. The effect is disorienting and unsettling, creating a sensation that the canyon itself is alive with memory, replaying fragments of past tragedies to those who pass through. Small cairn stacks of stones are frequently cited by hikers as evidence of the canyon's haunted presence. These cairns often appear in isolated areas where no one has been seen, placed atop rocks or along narrow ledges. Some hikers interpret them as markers left by spirits, guiding or warning those who tread the paths. Others speculate they are created by human pranksters, but their sudden appearance in remote sections of the canyon, sometimes overnight, lends weight to the belief that they are of supernatural origin. For many, discovering a cairn where none was before is enough to quicken the heartbeat and heighten awareness of unseen forces. Several encounters involve more direct manifestations. Hikers have reported shadowy figures glimpsed among trees or moving along ridges, figures that vanish when approached, leaving only the sound of rustling leaves and the echo of distant footsteps. Some describe fleeting glimpses of faces reflected in still pools of water, or hints of figures along cliff edges, dissolving into mist or stone. These experiences often leave witnesses with a sense of disorientation and awe, as if the canyon is revealing its hidden dimensions, layers of time, loss, and lingering presence that defy ordinary perception. The emotional impact of these encounters is striking. Hikers often report feelings of unease or profound sorrow while passing certain areas, a heaviness that seems to settle over the canyon like a fog. Some describe a sudden awareness of mortality, a heightened sense of vulnerability amid the towering cliffs and winding trails. Others feel a strange empathy for the unseen spirits, a connection that is both comforting and terrifying. Locals suggest that these emotional effects are the residual energy of those who have died in the canyon, their experiences echoing through time and space, interacting with the living who pass by. Eaton Canyon's history also contributes to its spectral reputation. Before it became a popular recreational area, the region was home to indigenous communities who lived in harmony with the land, navigating the same trails that now attract hikers. It is said that the canyon holds not only the memory of modern tragedies, but also the echoes of lives lost centuries ago, creating a convergence of spirits from different eras. For some, this layering of past and present intensifies the feeling of being watched, of moving through a landscape that is alive with invisible presences. Even those who do not believe in ghosts find the atmosphere of Eaton Canyon unusual. The interplay of sunlight and shadow, the echoing of voices off cliffs, and the sudden changes in weather contribute to a sense of unpredictability and heightened awareness. Yet, for those attuned to the stories and history of the canyon, these natural phenomena often take on a more sinister interpretation. Every rustle of leaves, every echo of footsteps, and every stack of stones becomes a potential message from the unseen, a reminder that the canyon holds secrets that may never be fully understood. Some hikers have returned multiple times, drawn by curiosity or a desire to understand the haunting energy of the canyon. They report that each visit brings new experiences, an unfamiliar whisper, a sudden chill, or the discovery of a cairn where none existed before. The canyon seems to respond to human presence, revealing just enough to be noticed but never fully understood. It is a place of both beauty and trepidation, where the natural and the supernatural intersect in ways that leave a lasting impression. The legend of Eaton Canyon serves as a cautionary tale as much as it is a ghost story. It reminds hikers to respect the terrain, to be mindful of the power of nature, and to acknowledge the lives lost along these trails. For those willing to venture into the shadows of the canyon, there is a sense of connection to the past, a brush with the unseen, a glimpse of lingering spirits who refuse to move on. Whether the experiences are caused by residual energy, heightened awareness, or something more mysterious, the stories persist, keeping the haunting alive for new generations of hikers. In the end, Eaton Canyon remains a place of contrasts. It is breathtakingly beautiful, a sanctuary for nature lovers, and yet it carries the weight of unseen presences that walk the trails alongside the living. For those who pass through its canyons and over its ridges, the experience is unforgettable, a mixture of awe, fear, and respect for a landscape that holds the memory of both human and natural tragedy. The spirits, whether real or imagined, remind all who enter that some trails are more than paths. They are corridors through history, emotion, and the inexplicable, forever wandering alongside those who dare to tread them. Redwood Regional Park, nestled in the hills of Oakland, California, is a serene sanctuary of towering redwoods, meandering trails, and dappled sunlight filtering through centuries-old trees. By day, it draws families, joggers, and hikers seeking an escape from urban life, offering the soothing sounds of birds, rustling leaves, and the distant flow of streams. Yet beneath its natural beauty, the park holds a shadowed history, one that has given rise to stories of the supernatural, strange sightings, and unexplained phenomena that continue to intrigue and unsettle those who walk its trails. The park's haunting reputation is linked to reports of shadows moving independently of the trees. Hikers recount glimpsing dark shapes that seem to detach from the trunks and glide silently through the undergrowth. These forms are rarely fully visible. They appear at the corner of one's vision and vanish when directly observed. Some witnesses describe them as humanoid silhouettes, unnaturally tall and thin, slipping effortlessly among the trees. Others report amorphous dark masses that move with purpose, as if guided by an intelligence unseen. The fleeting nature of these encounters leaves a lingering unease, a sense that the forest itself is alive with entities beyond ordinary comprehension. Strange cries and sounds are another hallmark of Redwood Regional Park's eerie atmosphere. Even in the middle of the day, hikers have reported hearing muffled wails or high-pitched shrieks echoing through the dense groves. The sounds are often attributed to birds, wildlife, or the wind moving through the trees. Yet witnesses insist that these noises carry an unmistakably human-quality, voices crying out in anguish, sometimes seeming to follow hikers along the trail. The cries vanish as suddenly as they arrive, leaving only silence and the rustle of leaves, heightening the sensation of being watched. One particular trail in the park is said to host the spirit of a logger who died in the 1930s, according to local lore. The man was performing routine work when a tragic accident occurred, claiming his life among the towering redwoods he loved. Hikers on this trail report seeing a dark silhouette with glowing eyes standing silently among the trees or moving along the path. The figure does not speak, but its presence is profoundly unsettling. Those who encounter it describe a sense of heaviness in the air, a tightening in the chest, and the feeling of being observed by something both powerful and sorrowful. Visitors have recounted other phenomena along the same trail, including inexplicable sounds of tools striking wood, the creak of heavy logs moving, and the distant echo of human laughter that abruptly stops. Some hikers report sudden drops in temperature, chills that sweep through their bodies despite sunny weather, and the scent of damp earth and sawdust lingering where no recent work has occurred. These sensory experiences reinforce the impression that the logger's spirit or some other unseen presence continues to inhabit the forest, replaying fragments of the past for those who traverse his domain. In addition to individual sightings, groups of hikers have reported collective experiences that defy rational explanation. Small parties walking together have noticed shadows shifting in unison, echoes of footsteps not matching the movements of anyone in the group, or whispers that seem to respond to their conversation. One group described a moment when all ambient noise suddenly ceased, leaving only the distant sound of soft sobbing and the rustle of leaves in a perfect, unnatural silence. The phenomenon left them shaken, with an instinctive understanding that the redwoods are more than a collection of trees. They are a landscape imbued with memory, witness, and perhaps lingering consciousness. The emotional impact of these experiences is notable. Hikers frequently describe feelings of unease, sorrow, or apprehension that cannot be traced to physical causes. Some report sudden anxiety or a compulsion to leave the area quickly, while others experience profound empathy for the spirits said to dwell among the trees. The park's dense canopy, twisting trails, and filtered light create an atmosphere conducive to heightened senses and a sense of intimacy with the natural world, making it easier for the mind to sense or imagine presences beyond the visible. Redwood Regional Park's history also plays a role in its supernatural reputation. In addition to logging accidents, the park's land has been inhabited for centuries, first by Native American communities and later by settlers who exploited its resources. The combination of natural hazards, human activity, and loss has contributed to a folklore rich in spectral sightings and paranormal activity. Some believe that the energies of past tragedies accumulate in certain areas, especially along steep or secluded trails, manifesting as shadows, cries, or apparitions visible to those who pass through. Some hikers report physical effects during their encounters. A sudden headache, an unexplained chill, or a prickling sensation along the spine is commonly described, often accompanied by the feeling of eyes upon them. Others have noticed objects slightly moved or stacked rocks appearing where none were before. Subtle signs that something or someone is interacting with the living world. These incidents, though minor, reinforce the perception that Redwood Regional Park is not merely a serene hiking destination. Even for skeptics, the consistency of reports is compelling. Witnesses across decades describe similar sensations, sightings, and sounds, suggesting that these experiences are not purely subjective. Whether one interprets them as ghosts, residual energy, or psychological responses to the park's unique environment, the stories endure, passed down through hikers, local historians, and folklore enthusiasts. The enduring legend of the logger's ghost, the shadowy forms, and the mysterious cries continues to shape the park's identity, attracting both thrill-seekers and those with a deep respect for the mysteries of the natural world. For those willing to explore Redwood Regional Park with a cautious eye, the experience is unforgettable. The towering redwoods, the filtered sunlight, and the twisting trails create a setting of both beauty and unease, where the past seems to linger in every shadow and rustle of leaves. Visitors may encounter fleeting figures, hear the distant echoes of forgotten voices, or feel a presence that cannot be seen. Whether these experiences are supernatural or psychological, they leave a lasting impression, reminding hikers that the forest is not merely a backdrop for recreation. It's a living archive of history, memory, and the unexplained. Redwood Regional Park is a place where nature's grandeur meets the unknown. The shadows may move, the cries may echo, and the logger may still wander among the trunks, his glowing eyes watching silently. For those who walk these trails, the experience is both humbling and unsettling. A reminder that some forests hold more than trees and hold echoes of the past and the spirits of those who never truly left. Devil's Punch Bowl, nestled within the Angeles National Forest, is renowned for its dramatic rock formations, rugged trails, and panoramic vistas. By day, hikers flock to the area for its natural beauty, challenging climbs, and sweeping views of the surrounding mountains. The steep cliffs, jagged rocks, and secluded valleys give the landscape a raw, almost otherworldly quality. Yet, behind its stunning exterior lies a history marked by tragedy and unexplained occurrences, making Devil's Punch Bowl a place where adventure and the supernatural intersect. The area earned its ominous reputation due to several deadly accidents over the years. Rockslides have claimed the lives of hikers and adventurers, sometimes without warning. Sudden shifts in the terrain, loose stones, and unstable cliffs make certain trails particularly dangerous, even for experienced climbers. Beyond these natural hazards, hikers and locals report a more mysterious presence, suggesting that the Punch Bowl is haunted by echoes of the past, memories frozen in time, and spirits that have not moved on. Witnesses often describe strange sounds that seem to bounce off the cliffs and reverberate through the canyon. Moaning, metallic scraping, and faint whispers fill the air, sometimes rising in intensity and then disappearing without explanation. Some hikers report hearing voices calling out warnings to leave the area, though no one is near. Others speak of the sound of pickaxes striking stone, chains rattling, or footsteps crunching on gravel trails when no one else is present. The echoes are eerie and disorienting, amplified by the natural acoustics of the canyon, yet many insist that the noises carry a deliberate, almost intelligent quality. One of the most persistent legends involves the spirit of a miner who died decades ago. According to local stories, he fell into the chasm during a work-related accident. His body never fully recovered. Hikers have reported seeing a shadowy figure along the trails, particularly at dusk and night, moving with an unnatural, gliding gait. The figure is often described as tall and dark, sometimes with faintly glowing eyes, reflecting the moonlight or flashlight beams. Witnesses claim that it appears to warn them, gesturing to warn dangerous cliffs or retreating to the shadows when approached. Those who have glimpsed the miner's ghost describe a sense of sorrow and urgency, as if the spirit is compelled to protect the living from the same fate that befell him. Encounters with the supernatural at Devil's Punch Bowl often involve a combination of visual, auditory, and tactile phenomena. Hikers have reported sudden chills, hair standing on end, and the sensation of being watched while navigating narrow ledges. Some feel an invisible pressure or a brush against their arms or shoulders, yet no one else is nearby. Others hear footsteps following them, matching their pace precisely, only to vanish when they stop. The layering of these experiences creates a palpable tension that heightens both fear and awareness, transforming a routine hike into an encounter with the unknown. The natural environment of Devil's Punch Bowl contributes to the haunting. The steep cliffs, echoing canyons, and narrow trails create pockets of shadow where light rarely penetrates. Fog rolling in from the surrounding mountains can appear suddenly, obscuring paths and shapes, making ordinary rocks and trees appear as figures or watchers. These environmental factors amplify the perception of paranormal activity. Yet those familiar with the area insist that the experiences go beyond misinterpretation or natural acoustics. Repeated sightings, consistent descriptions, and the emotional impact on hikers suggest something extraordinary resides within the Punch Bowl. Many hikers have reported emotional effects that accompany their encounters. Fear and anxiety are common, but so are profound feelings of empathy and sorrow. Some describe a sudden awareness of mortality and fragility, an emotional resonance with the miner or with those who died in rockslides over the years. Others feel compelled to leave offerings, small stones stacked along the trail, coins placed in crevices, or even whispered words of comfort as, though acknowledging the spirit's presence, provides temporary reprieve or respect. These rituals, often spontaneous, reflect a deep-seated belief that the Punch Bowl is not merely a hiking area, but a landscape alive with memory and lingering energy. Some hikers recount collective experiences that defy explanation. Groups have heard synchronized footsteps, felt simultaneous chills, or witnessed shadows moving in unison among the rocks. Others describe multiple sounds layered together, scraping metal, distant screams, and whispers overlapping in patterns that seem purposeful. These group encounters suggest that the haunting is not a product of imagination alone, but may involve phenomena that interact with multiple observers simultaneously, reinforcing the sense that Devil's Punch Bowl is an active, sentient environment. The Punch Bowl's dark history is inseparable from its supernatural reputation. Historical records of mining accidents, lost hikers, and fatalities create a framework that gives credence to the sightings and sounds reported by visitors. Over decades, these events have fostered a folklore that blends cautionary tales with ghost stories, emphasizing respect for both nature and the unknown. Locals continue to share stories of the miner and other spirits, ensuring that the legends persist and new generations of hikers are aware of the park's unique and haunting character. Despite its eerie reputation, Devil's Punch Bowl remains a popular destination, drawing hikers, photographers, and thrill-seekers alike. The combination of dramatic cliffs, rugged terrain, and the potential for encounters with the supernatural makes it both alluring and intimidating. Visitors are reminded to take precautions on the trails, but many find the added element of mystery enhances the experience, transforming a simple hike into a journey through history, danger, and the unknown. The legend of the miner, the strange sounds, and the shadowy figures that roam the cliffs create an enduring sense of the uncanny at Devil's Punch Bowl. Hikers who explore the area at dusk or night often return with stories of chilling encounters, whispered warnings, and a sense of having brushed against something not entirely of this world. Whether these phenomena are ghosts, residual energy, or the product of the mind interacting with the wild landscape, they have become an intrinsic part of the Punch Bowl's identity. For those who tread its narrow trails, the cliffs are not merely a scenic overlook, they are a reminder of the past, a stage for the unknown, and a place where the living and the unseen coexist, eternally entwined. Point Reyes National Seashore, perched along the rugged coastline of Marin County, is a place of breathtaking natural beauty. Towering cliffs overlook the relentless waves of the Pacific Ocean. Wind-swept grasses sway along the bluffs, and dense fog often drifts in from the sea, wrapping the trails in a shroud of mist. By day, the seashore attracts hikers, birdwatchers, and photographers, drawn to its dramatic vistas and rich wildlife. Yet beneath its serene and picturesque surface lies a history of maritime tragedy, mysterious disappearances, and ghostly apparitions that have haunted these trails for generations. The most enduring legend of Point Reyes is that of the shipwrecked sailor, a spectral figure said to wander the coastal cliffs in search of a vessel lost to the sea. Hikers recount glimpsing a lone man, dressed in weathered clothing from centuries past, appearing and disappearing within the fog. His figure is often seen near treacherous cliff edges, moving with slow, deliberate steps, as though retracing the path of some long-forgotten journey. Witnesses describe an overwhelming sense of melancholy emanating from the apparition, a sorrowful presence tied inexorably to the ocean's power and the perils it conceals. The fog itself seems to enhance the uncanny atmosphere of Point Reyes. On many days, the dense mist rolls in swiftly from the ocean, obscuring familiar trails and creating shifting patterns of light and shadow. Hikers report that the fog can appear almost alive, forming shapes that resemble figures or animals, moving along the cliffs as if the landscape itself is aware of their presence. Within these shifting veils, the shipwrecked sailor is said to materialize, standing silently along the trail, only to vanish when approached. Some hikers claim that he seems to follow them for a brief stretch, walking just out of step before dissolving back into the mist. Alongside visual sightings, many hikers report unusual sensory experiences. The smell of salt water and old timber is frequently noted, even when no ocean breeze reaches the trail. Some describe hearing faint creaking sounds, like the timbers of a ship bending under pressure, or the soft lapping of waves against a hole that is nowhere in sight. Others recount hearing muffled calls, shouting, or the plaintive cries of a sailor lost to the ocean. These phenomena are often accompanied by sudden drops in temperature, chills that seem to move along the spine, and the sensation of being watched by unseen eyes. The shipwrecks themselves are an integral part of Point Reyes haunting. Over the centuries, treacherous currents and hidden rocks have claimed countless vessels, leaving sailors stranded or lost to the sea. Locals say that the spirit of the shipwrecked sailor represents one of these souls, unable to rest until his vessel is found or his journey completed. Hikers who venture close to cliffside lookouts sometimes report seeing faint lights far offshore, not from passing ships, but from some otherworldly source, glimmering where no navigation markers exist. These lights are often interpreted as guiding spirits, echoes of the maritime tragedies that continue to leave their mark on the land. The trails themselves contribute to the haunting. Narrow paths wind along cliff edges, bordered by dense vegetation and rocky outcrops. The fog can suddenly reduce visibility to mere feet, and the cliffs drop steeply into the crashing waves below. Hikers describe the experience as simultaneously exhilarating and unnerving, with a constant awareness that the landscape can shift in an instant. In these moments, shadows among the grasses or along the rocks may appear to move independently, prompting some visitors to freeze, certain that they are being observed by something beyond the ordinary. Historical accounts also reinforce the supernatural reputation of Point Reyes. Records of lost hikers, shipwreck survivors, and maritime tragedies are intertwined with oral histories from local communities, including the Coast Miwok people who originally inhabited the area. Stories of spirits wandering the cliffs or appearing at night are passed down through generations, blending fact and legend. Many believe that the natural energy of the area, coupled with its history of sudden loss and isolation, creates a threshold where the physical world and the spirit realm meet, allowing glimpses of the shipwrecked sailor and other lingering presences. Some hikers have experienced more tangible manifestations. Personal items left along the trail have reportedly been moved or rearranged inexplicably, and small cairns appear in locations where no one had been before. Others speak of hearing their own names whispered in the fog, or the sudden sensation of a hand brushing against their shoulder when no one is nearby. These subtle, yet unsettling, events contribute to the sense that the seashore is alive with memory, watching and interacting with those who traverse its cliffs. Even experienced hikers and local guides admit to feeling a heightened sense of awareness while walking the coastal trails. The combination of cliffs, fog, and the ambient sounds of the ocean fosters an environment where the mind is attuned to even the slightest anomaly. Whether these experiences are psychological responses to the dramatic landscape or actual supernatural encounters is a matter of debate. Yet the consistency of reports, the emotional weight of the sightings, and the lingering sense of melancholy surrounding the shipwrecked sailor suggest that Point Reyes continues to be a place where the past refuses to remain buried. Visitors who venture along the trails at dusk or into the early evening often leave with a mix of awe and unease. The cliffs and fog create a liminal space where the natural beauty of the seashore collides with the lingering presence of lost souls. Whether hikers encounter shadows, hear cries, or simply feel the sorrowful gaze of the shipwrecked sailor, the experience leaves a lasting impression, blending fear, respect, and fascination. Mount Whitney, towering over the eastern Sierra in Inyo National Forest, is a destination that draws adventurers from around the world. At 14,505 feet, it is the highest peak in the contiguous United States, offering panoramic views that stretch for miles. By day, hikers are captivated by its rugged beauty, snow-capped ridges, and the vast wilderness below. Yet, the mountain holds a darker reputation for those who venture into its upper reaches at night. Locals and seasoned climbers alike speak of strange occurrences along the trails, shadowy figures among the ridges, and a palpable sense that the peak is not merely a natural landmark, but a guardian watching all who attempt its ascent. Those who have hiked Mount Whitney after sunset often describe the trails as transformed by the night, The familiar contours of rock and scree take on unfamiliar shapes, and the wind whistling along the ridges carries sounds that seem to come from nowhere. Footsteps echo in places where no one else is present, following hikers along narrow paths and cliff edges. Some hikers report hearing multiple sets of footsteps, faster or slower than their own pace, stopping and starting, as if the mountain itself were aware of their movements. When they turn to look, there is nothing but darkness and jagged rock, yet the sensation of being followed lingers long after they descend. Shadowy figures are among the most common sightings reported by night climbers. These forms appear along ridges, silhouetted against the faint glow of the stars or the reflection of distant moonlight on snow. Witnesses describe shapes that resemble humans, though unnaturally tall or thin, moving fluidly across scree fields or disappearing into rock crevices. Sometimes, the figures seem to freeze when approached, only to vanish the moment a hiker draws closer. The fleeting nature of these appearances leaves many climbers questioning their own perception. Yet the consistency of reports suggests that something more than imagination may be at play. The mountain's atmosphere can amplify physical and psychological effects, leading to experiences that hikers describe as supernatural. Many recount sudden nausea, dizziness, or disorientation that strikes without warning. Others report vivid hallucinations, seeing phantom lights, hearing voices carried on the wind, or glimpsing shapes that shift and move in impossible ways. Some attribute these experiences to altitude sickness or exhaustion, yet hikers insist that these sensations occur even among those acclimated to high elevations. The intensity and timing of the phenomena, often coinciding with shadow sightings or mysterious sounds, suggest a presence that exerts influence over those who climb its upper trails. The high elevation brings thin air, bitter winds, and rapidly changing weather conditions that can obscure trails and limit visibility. Fog and clouds often roll in suddenly, shrouding the landscape in a near-impenetrable gray that can distort perception. Hikers report that familiar landmarks appear warped, and the echo of footsteps or the rush of wind can create illusions of movement in the darkness. Yet even in clear conditions, many describe an unshakable awareness of something watching, as though the mountain itself possesses a consciousness intent on observing every step taken along its craggy ridges. Many of the reported encounters carry a sense of intent or warning. Shadowy figures are said to appear near precarious ledges or dangerous slopes, almost as if guiding or cautioning hikers from unseen hazards. Some hikers believe these presences are spirits of those who perished on the mountain, their energy lingering to protect the living from similar fates. Others theorize that Mount Whitney harbors a more ancient guardian, a force tied to the peak itself, manifesting at night to test, warn, or even repel intruders. The sensation of being watched, of encountering something beyond ordinary human experience, is strong enough to compel some climbers to retreat from higher trails, convinced that the mountain is asserting its dominion. Hikers have also reported more subtle phenomena. Small stones arranged in patterns, inexplicable drafts of cold air, or sudden silences that descend over the trail all contribute to the eerie environment. Some claim that their compasses or electronic devices behave erratic, and radios emit static or faint voices where none should exist. These occurrences are often dismissed as coincidences or natural effects of elevation. Yet for those who experience them in tandem with shadow sightings or auditory anomalies, they reinforce the sense that Mount Whitney's upper trails are anything but ordinary. Stories of Mount Whitney's supernatural presence have circulated among climbers for decades, blending folklore, personal testimony, and historical tragedy. The mountain has claimed the lives of many hikers, climbers, and explorers, and these events feed into the legends of shadows, strange sounds, and mysterious guidance. Each new encounter adds to the mountain's mystique, drawing thrill-seekers, paranormal enthusiasts, and those who feel compelled to test their courage against the unknown. The combination of natural danger, isolation, and inexplicable phenomena creates an environment where fear, awe, and respect coexist, leaving a lasting impression on all who attempt its peaks. Even seasoned climbers who approach Mount Whitney with careful preparation report an altered sense of reality at night. The interplay of darkness, wind, and altitude produces an environment ripe for heightened perception and unusual experiences. Many hikers emerge from the upper trails with stories of fleeting shapes, phantom footsteps, and the sense of being observed by a presence older and wiser than any human being. For some, these encounters are terrifying. For others, they are humbling, a reminder that the mountain commands respect beyond its physical challenges. Mount Whitney, in its stark majesty, remains both a destination for adventure and a site of legend. The shadows along the ridges, the echoing footsteps, and the sudden bouts of sickness or hallucination create a narrative that blends natural beauty with the inexplicable. Those who hike the trails at night find themselves immersed in a landscape where the boundary between reality and the supernatural seems thin, where every step may be guided or watched by unseen eyes, and where the mountain itself feels alive, guarding its peak against all who dare approach unprepared. Castle Rock State Park, nestled in the heart of the Santa Cruz Mountains, is a place where natural beauty intertwines with mystery. The park is known for its twisting trails, dense forests, and massive moss-covered boulders that rise like silent sentinels over the landscape. By day, hikers, climbers, and nature enthusiasts are drawn to its scenic overlooks, sparkling creeks, and labyrinthian paths. Yet beneath this idyllic surface lies a long history of unsettling experiences. Tales of strange sounds, ghostly figures, and inexplicable phenomena have been passed down through locals and hikers alike, giving Castle Rock a reputation as one of the most haunted parks in California. Those who venture along the park's quieter trails often report the sensation of being followed. Footsteps echo behind them, soft and deliberate, yet when they turn to look, the path appears empty. This phenomenon is reported at all hours, but it is especially unnerving in the early morning or late afternoon, when shadows stretch long and the forest grows quiet. Some hikers describe the footsteps as perfectly matching their own pace, while others insist the sounds come faster or slower, as if some unseen entity is deliberately keeping them on edge. These auditory experiences often leave hikers with a lingering sense of unease, as though unseen eyes are watching their every move. Nightfall in Castle Rock State Park brings an even more intense layer of mystery. Dense brush and towering trees obscure sight lines, and the mossy boulders create natural alcoves and shadows where the imagination can run wild. Many hikers report glimpsing glowing eyes peering from the darkness, reflecting the faint light of the moon or flashlights. The eyes appear in unexpected places behind tree trunks, between boulders, or deep in the undergrowth. When approached, the figures vanish, leaving nothing but the whisper of leaves in the wind. Some have described the glowing eyes as red or amber, giving them an almost predatory quality, while others claim the gaze is more sorrowful, filled with some unknown purpose or warning. Accompanying the sightings are whispered voices, often heard at the edge of hearing. The most commonly reported phrase is a simple warning: "Go back." The voices are usually soft, almost indistinguishable from the rustle of the forest, yet the message is unmistakable. Hikers say the whispers are both eerie and compelling, prompting an instinctive fear that urges them to turn around and leave the trail. Some who have ignored the warning report increased tension, disorientation, or a sense of being followed more closely, reinforcing the idea that these warnings are not idle, but serve as protective messages from some unseen guardian or restless spirit. Castle Rock's environment contributes to its haunting reputation. The twisting trails and dense forest make it easy to become disoriented, and fog frequently rolls in from the surrounding mountains, muffling sound and distorting vision. The moss-covered boulders create strange shapes and shadows that can appear animate, and the wind moving through the trees produces eerie, almost human-like sounds. These natural elements create an atmosphere ripe for heightened perception and fear. Yet hikers insist that the experiences at Castle Rock go beyond mere environmental tricks. The consistency of reports, the emotional intensity of encounters, and the physical reactions they provoke suggest that something unusual inhabits the park. Whether spectral, psychological, or both, Historical accounts of the area add another layer to the park's mystique. Before it became a state park, the Santa Cruz Mountains were home to Native American communities, early settlers, and countless travelers navigating the rugged terrain. Stories of lost hikers, unexplained deaths, and mysterious disappearances have been tied to specific trails and locations within Castle Rock, giving rise to legends of spirits lingering in the forest. Some believe that the glowing-eyed figures are the echoes of those who perished, bound to the park by unfinished business or a desire to protect others from a similar fate. Others speculate that the park is inhabited by entities that predate human settlement, ancient guardians of the land who emerge when the forest is encroached upon. Hikers have also reported physical sensations that accompany their encounters. Sudden chills, hair standing on end, and the sensation of being touched or brushed against are common. Some feel an inexplicable heaviness in the chest, while others experience a tightness in the throat or a prickling along the spine. These physical responses often coincide with visual or auditory phenomena, intensifying the sense of otherworldly presence. Even those who approach the park with skepticism admit to feeling a heightened awareness and an almost instinctive caution when walking the darker or more isolated trails. Group experiences further complicate the park's paranormal profile. Hikers walking together have reported synchronized sensations, hearing the same whispers simultaneously, or seeing figures that seem to react to the group's movements. Some recount moments when all ambient noise abruptly ceases, leaving only a profound silence, punctuated by a single, distant sound, a footstep, a whisper, or a rustling bush. These collective experiences suggest that whatever inhabits Castle Rock interacts not just with individuals, but with groups, reinforcing the idea of a conscious, deliberate presence. Despite the unsettling reports, Castle Rock State Park remains a popular destination. Hikers and climbers are drawn to its unique rock formations, panoramic views, and dense forests, often returning again and again despite or because of the ghost stories. The legends of footsteps, glowing eyes, and whispered warnings have become intertwined with the park's identity, adding a layer of intrigue and caution to the natural beauty. For many, the blend of breathtaking scenery and supernatural lore enhances the experience, transforming a simple hike into a journey through both the physical and the unseen world. Castle Rock State Park is a place where nature and mystery coexist. The twisting trails, moss-covered boulders, and dense forests create an environment where shadows move, whispers linger, and glowing eyes watch from the undergrowth. Whether these experiences are the work of spirits, ancient guardians, or the human mind responding to isolation and darkness, they are undeniably powerful. Visitors who walk the trails with care may glimpse a figure, hear a warning, or sense a presence that cannot be explained, leaving them with a memory of the park that is both beautiful and haunting. A reminder that some forests hold more than trees. They hold secrets and shadows that endure long after the sun sets. Mount Lowe Railway trails, tucked into the Angeles National Forest, are a destination that blends natural beauty with echoes of a bygone era. Once a bustling railway system connecting travelers to the heights of the San Gabriel Mountains, Mount Lowe Railway thrived in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, ferrying visitors to scenic overlooks, hotels, and hiking trails. Today, the tracks are long gone, replaced by rugged paths winding through chaparral, pine forests, and jagged cliffs. Yet, despite its abandonment, the railway's past seems to linger in the air, giving the trails an eerie, almost haunted atmosphere that has captured the imagination of hikers, historians, and paranormal enthusiasts alike. Visitors to Mount Lowe often report unusual auditory phenomena, particularly along the old railbed and remnants of the trail where the tracks once ran. Metallic clanging, the sound of wheels on rails, and distant whistles are frequently described, even though no trains have run there for decades. Some hikers insist they hear the unmistakable rumble of an approaching locomotive, growing louder as if it is coming over a distant incline, only to vanish without a trace. The dissonance of these phantom sounds against the stillness of the forest creates a surreal experience. leaving hikers questioning whether the noises are remnants of history, tricks of the mind, or something more supernatural. Visual encounters are another common element of Mount Lowe lore. Figures dressed in old-fashioned railway uniforms, complete with caps and dark jackets, have been reported walking along the trails or standing beside the edges of the cliffs. Some appear to be conducting inspections, peering at maps, or checking non-existent tickets, and then disappear when approached. Witnesses often describe a sense of familiarity mingled with unease, as though the apparitions are echoes of the railway's operational days, compelled to repeat routines long after the world has moved on. The most persistent legend involves a conductor who vanished during a landslide many decades ago, said to still patrol the trails, checking on those who wander too close to the old railway's path. The environment of Mount Lowe contributes to its eerie reputation. The trails wind through dense forest and narrow ledges, with sudden drops to steep ravines below. Rocks and boulders scatter along the pathways, remnants of past landslides that claimed both men and machinery. Fog frequently rolls in, muting sounds and creating shifting shadows that play tricks on the eyes. Hikers report that the mist often obscures familiar landmarks, making the trails feel unfamiliar even to those who know them well. Within this atmosphere, auditory and visual anomalies seem heightened, as if the forest itself is steeped in memory, replaying fragments of the railway's past for those willing or perhaps unwilling to witness them. Many hikers have reported tangible physical sensations during these encounters. A sudden chill in the air, the feeling of being brushed against by invisible hands, or a pressure on the chest is often described. These sensations often coincide with sightings of the ghostly conductor or the sounds of phantom trains. Some hikers have experienced dizziness, nausea, or disorientation, which they attribute to an unseen presence or the lingering energy of the railway's tragic history. The combination of the environment, physical stress from climbing, and the psychological tension created by the legends makes Mount Lowe's upper trails a uniquely unsettling experience. Echoes of the past are not limited to the upper trails. Lower sections of the railway path are littered with foundations of old stations, remnants of hotel terraces, and decaying trestles that once supported the tracks. Hikers frequently report hearing faint conversations, clinking tools, or distant shouts when no one is present. Occasionally, the sounds of a locomotive bell, followed by a rush of wind, have been reported by those standing near the remains of a trestle. Many interpret these phenomena as echoes of the people who once labored along the tracks, a residual energy that imprints itself upon the land. Historical research only strengthens the mysterious aura surrounding Mount Lowe Railway. Records of accidents, landslides, and construction mishaps paint a picture of a railway that was both ambitious and dangerous. Workers often faced treacherous cliffs, unstable terrain, and sudden storms, all while trying to maintain the line. Stories of missing conductors, lost trains, and fatal accidents have been passed down through local lore, blending fact and legend. Today, hikers walking the trails are said to occasionally encounter figures that resemble those recorded in historical photographs: conductor caps, dark jackets, and stoic expressions staring across ravines, as if frozen in time. Group experiences add another layer to the phenomenon. Hikers traveling together have reported seeing figures that appear only to certain members, hearing footsteps that seem to follow the group collectively, or experiencing synchronized chills and disorientation. In some cases, all members of a party hear the same distant train whistle, or feel the same sudden gust of cold air, reinforcing the idea that Mount Lowe's supernatural elements are not merely personal imagination, but a shared experience among those who traverse the old railway's paths. Despite the eerie reputation, Mount Lowe Railway trails remain a popular destination. The combination of history, adventure, and natural beauty draws hikers from near and far. Many are aware of the ghost stories before setting out, approaching the trails with a mixture of curiosity and caution. For some, the possibility of encountering a spectral conductor or hearing the faint echoes of a phantom train adds a thrilling edge to the hike, transforming a simple walk through the forest into a journey through time, memory, and the unexplained. Mount Lowe Railway trails serve as a living testament to the past, where the echoes of human endeavor, triumph, and tragedy linger in the forest. The ghostly trains, metallic sounds, and apparitions in railway uniforms create a sense that the railway's history is never truly gone. Hikers who wander these trails may see the phantom conductor checking tickets, hear the hiss of steam and clatter of wheels, or feel the forest itself guiding them along paths once traveled by people long gone. For those who venture into the abandoned railway, Mount Lowe is not only a hiking destination, it is a place where the past lives on, where the unseen coexists with the living, and where the spirit of the railway refuses to rest. Griffith Park, sprawling across over 4,000 acres in Los Angeles, is a place of both natural beauty and storied history. Known for its hiking trails, scenic overlooks, and cultural landmarks, the park attracts millions of visitors each year. Yet beneath its sunny reputation, parts of Griffith Park have long been associated with eerie legends and unexplained occurrences. Hikers, joggers, and night walkers alike report encounters with shadows, strange noises, and ghostly figures that linger long after the park's bustling daytime activity has faded. Among the most persistent tales is that of the Phantom Horseman, a spectral figure said to traverse the park's trails with silent purpose, as well as other unexplained phenomena near the old zoo ruins, where decades of mystery have given rise to chilling stories. The Phantom Horseman is one of Griffith Park's most infamous hauntings. Witnesses describe a figure dressed entirely in black, riding a dark horse along the winding trails and ridges of the park. Its eyes are said to glow with an unnatural light, piercing through the darkness, and the creature makes no sound, no hoofbeats or rustling of leaves, yet seems to glide effortlessly along the paths. Those who have glimpsed the horseman often report a sense of overwhelming dread, a chill that cuts through the air, and a feeling of being watched long before the figure appears. The sightings are most common in the twilight hours, when shadows stretch long and the familiar landscape transforms into a maze of dim outlines and looming shapes. Hikers and walkers recount the horseman appearing suddenly from the trees or over ridges, vanishing just as quickly when approached. Some report the figure maintaining a perfect distance, seeming almost aware of their movements, while others claim it disappears into thin air, leaving no trace of hoofprints or disturbance in the terrain. The consistent descriptions, black attire, glowing eyes, silent approach, suggest that these sightings are more than mere imagination or coincidence. Even locals who have lived near the park for decades attest to its unnerving presence, sharing stories of friends, family, or strangers who encountered the mysterious rider under similar circumstances. The park's old zoo ruins are another source of strange activity. Decades ago, animals were relocated from the Griffith Park Zoo under conditions that remain somewhat mysterious, leading some to believe the spirits of the creatures or caretakers linger still. Visitors report hearing faint laughter, cries, and the soft padding of unseen paws echoing across the empty enclosures. At times, these sounds are accompanied by shadows darting between trees or along the broken fences, moving with an intelligence that feels almost deliberate. Hikers often describe a sense of melancholy or unease while walking near the ruins, as if the energy of the past has left a permanent imprint on the environment. Unexplained phenomena extend beyond visual and auditory encounters. Some visitors report sudden temperature drops, as if passing through invisible walls of cold air, or a prickling sensation on the skin that occurs with no apparent cause. Others feel watched, even when the trails appear completely empty, or sense movement just out of the corner of their eyes. These experiences often coincide with sightings of the horseman or shadows near the zoo ruins, reinforcing the idea that certain areas of Griffith Park are permeated with residual energy or a lingering presence from events long past. Historical context deepens the eerie reputation of Griffith Park. The land has been inhabited and utilized for centuries, from Native American settlements to its development as a public park in the late 19th century. Tales of accidents, sudden deaths, and disappearances have been tied to the park's trails and hills. fueling the legends of ghostly riders and restless spirits. The old zoo itself, once home to countless animals, has become a focal point for paranormal activity, with many believing that the emotional energy of both human and animal inhabitants continues to resonate in the area. Group encounters have been particularly compelling, as multiple hikers often report the same phenomena at the same time. Parties walking together have described synchronized sightings of the horsemen, hearing identical laughter or cries near the ruins, or feeling the same sudden chills and pressure that suggest an unseen presence. In some cases, electronic devices such as flashlights, cameras, or phones malfunction inexplicably, flickering or turning off when these events occur. The combination of shared sensory experiences and subtle physical disturbances adds weight to the belief that the park's supernatural occurrences are more than anecdotal or coincidental. Even during daylight, Griffith Park can feel charged with mystery. Visitors have described the forested areas near the old zoo ruins as unusually quiet, with bird calls and other ambient sounds seeming muted or delayed. Shadows often appear to move independently of the sunlight, and hikers sometimes report glimpsing fleeting shapes among the trees that vanish when approached. While some of these experiences may be influenced by imagination or the natural play of light and shadow, their consistency and emotional impact suggest that the park harbors lingering presences that remain attentive to those who traverse its trails. The combination of scenic beauty and haunting legends gives Griffith Park a unique duality. Hikers are drawn to its vistas, winding trails, and historical sites, yet those same paths conceal shadows, spectral figures, and echoes of past events. The Phantom Horseman, with his silent glowing-eyed ride, embodies the tension between thrill and terror, while the old zoo ruins remind visitors that the park's history is never fully gone. These stories endure, shared among locals, hikers, and paranormal enthusiasts, each encounter reinforcing the park's reputation as a place where the natural and supernatural coexist in uneasy balance. For those who explore Griffith Park, the experience is more than a casual hike. Whether encountering a silent rider on a shadowed trail, hearing laughter from the abandoned zoo, or feeling the brush of unseen eyes, visitors come away with an impression of a space alive with memory, mystery, and unseen guardians. The park stands as a reminder that even in the heart of a bustling city, the past lingers, and that the hills and forests of Griffith Park hold secrets that are best approached with respect, caution, and a sense of wonder for the unknown. Crystal Cove State Park, stretching along the rugged coastline of Orange County, is renowned for its pristine beaches, tide pools, and scenic hiking trails. By day, visitors are drawn to its sparkling waters, sun-drenched sands, and panoramic views of the Pacific Ocean. Yet beneath its serene beauty lies a layer of unsettling tales and supernatural encounters that have persisted for generations. Hikers and beachgoers alike have reported strange phenomena, ghostly figures, unexplained laughter, and fleeting visions of the past that suggest Crystal Cove is not only a place of natural splendor, but also a crossroads between the living and the unseen. Among the most commonly reported sightings are ghostly children, said to play near the cliffs and dunes at the edge of the park. Witnesses describe their laughter echoing across the sand, a joyful and unmistakable sound that seems at odds with the otherwise quiet surroundings. Yet, when approached, the children vanish as if swallowed by the earth itself. Some hikers report feeling a sudden drop in temperature or a tingling along their skin as they near the site of these apparitions, reinforcing the sense that the park's cliffs harbor energies beyond the natural. Others have described seeing the children's faces briefly reflected in the wet sand, only to find nothing when they look directly. These encounters leave an unsettling mixture of awe and dread, as though glimpsing a world that exists alongside, but just out of reach from, everyday reality. In addition to spectral children, the shores of Crystal Cove are said to be haunted by the apparitions of shipwrecked sailors. The park sits along a historically treacherous stretch of coastline, where rocks and hidden shoals claim the lives of countless mariners in the 19th and early 20th centuries. Hikers and beachcombers have reported seeing figures in weathered naval attire wandering along the sands or scanning the horizon, their forms flickering like images from a broken photograph. The sailors appear lost, as if endlessly searching for home or trying to complete a task left unfinished in life. Many vanish before reaching the water, their presence lingering only in the imagination and the memory of those who witnessed them. The combination of fog, low light, and the rhythmic sound of the surf creates an atmosphere that blurs the line between reality and apparition, making these sightings both vivid and ephemeral. Auditory phenomena are a frequent companion to visual sightings at Crystal Cove. Hikers often report hearing faint giggles, murmurs, or the clash of waves mingled with shouts and calls that seem impossibly close, yet cannot be located. The laughter of the ghostly children can start abruptly, sometimes near seemingly empty dunes or cliff paths, and cease just as suddenly. Similarly, some have claimed to hear sailors calling to one another, the metallic clang of equipment, or the distant groan of wooden masts snapping under unseen strain. These auditory experiences are often accompanied by a sense of being watched or followed, enhancing the park's reputation as a site where the past and present intersect in disconcerting ways. The terrain itself adds to the park's eerie ambience. Jagged cliffs overlook the Pacific, creating shadows that shift with the sun and fog, and coastal trails wind through dense vegetation that can obscure sightlines and disorient visitors. Tide pools and rock formations provide reflective surfaces where fleeting images appear and vanish, while the ever-present wind carries whispers across sand and stone. Many hikers report sudden changes in temperature or inexplicable chills along the cliffs, sensations often coinciding with visual or auditory encounters. The interplay of natural elements and human perception makes Crystal Cove a particularly potent environment for paranormal experiences, where the mind and the landscape combine to heighten tension and awareness. Historical context further deepens the haunting lore. Shipwreck records and local accounts describe numerous maritime tragedies along the coastline, including vessels dashed against hidden reefs and lives lost in violent storms. The park was also home to early settlers, whose presence and struggles are said to imprint upon the land. Ghost stories that began as oral traditions passed among locals gradually became part of the hiking culture, with visitors sharing encounters that blend history with the supernatural. For some, the spirits of children and sailors represent residual energy, echoes of lives disrupted or ended too soon. For others, they are conscious presences, lingering in the environment to interact with those who wander the beaches and cliffs. Hikers often report physical sensations during encounters that suggest a tangible connection to the unseen. Sudden chills, goosebumps, or a tightening in the chest frequently accompany sightings of children or sailors. Some have described a faint pressure or brush against clothing when no one is present, and others feel an inexplicable heaviness while standing near the cliffs or dunes where apparitions have been reported. These experiences create a heightened sense of awareness, making the landscape feel simultaneously beautiful and threatening, serene and charged with unseen life. Group sightings and shared experiences lend additional credibility to the legends. Hikers traveling together sometimes report simultaneous laughter, glimpses of figures, or synchronized chills, suggesting that the park's phenomena are not merely products of individual imagination. Some parties have noted that the sound of waves or wind seems to react to their movement, intensifying during moments of heightened tension and then receding abruptly. Cameras and recording devices occasionally capture faint orbs of light, shadows, or anomalies in areas where sightings occur. Though the footage is often inconclusive, for many, these experiences are unforgettable, leaving a lasting impression of a place alive with history, energy, and mystery. Despite or perhaps because of the paranormal tales, Crystal Cove State Park remains a beloved destination for hikers, photographers, and history enthusiasts. The ghost stories add a layer of intrigue to its natural beauty, transforming a simple walk along the cliffs or beach into a journey through time and memory. Visitors are drawn to the park not only for its scenic vistas, but also for the possibility of witnessing a fleeting connection to the past, whether through the laughter of ghostly children or the wandering forms of lost sailors. The blending of natural splendor and haunting legend ensures that every hike carries the potential for wonder, fear, and reflection. Crystal Cove State Park is more than just a stretch of coastline. It is a place where the living and the unseen intersect, where the echoes of history manifest in fleeting laughter, ghostly figures, and inexplicable sensations. Hikers who walk its trails and beaches may encounter children playing along the dunes, sailors searching the sands, or the faint stirrings of a presence that refuses to be forgotten. These experiences remind visitors that beneath the sunlit waves and golden sands lies a landscape imbued with memory, mystery, and the haunting persistence of lives long past. Mount Shasta, towering over Siskiyou County, is more than just a majestic peak of the Cascade Range. Its snow-capped summit rises sharply into the sky, dominating the surrounding landscape with an imposing presence that has fascinated humans for centuries. Beyond its breathtaking beauty, Mount Shasta has long been associated with mystical energy, paranormal activity, and tales of the unexplained. Hikers, climbers, and adventurers are drawn to the mountain not only for its challenging trails and stunning vistas, but also for the whispers of mystery that cling to its forests and slopes. Locals and visitors alike speak of shadowy figures, strange sounds, and ethereal presences collectively known as the Watchers that seem to inhabit the mountain and its environment, guiding, observing, or warning those who dare to venture too close to its peak. The forested lower slopes of Mount Shasta are dense with towering pines, firs, and cedars, creating a labyrinth of shadows and narrow paths. Hikers traversing these trails often report seeing fleeting figures moving among the trees. These apparitions are usually humanoid in shape, tall and dark, sometimes indistinct, but always seeming to observe the unwary traveler. Some describe sudden glimpses of movement out of the corner of their eye, only to find nothing there when they turn. Others claim the figures appear more intentionally, standing silently at trail intersections, watching silently before vanishing as if dissolved into the forest itself. Many hikers report an immediate sense of being monitored, a prickling awareness that someone or something is present even in complete isolation. As hikers ascend to higher elevations, the experiences intensify. On the more challenging trails near the snowline, visitors often hear strange auditory phenomena. Humming, chanting, or melodic whispers have been reported echoing across ridges and valleys. These sounds seem to originate from no discernible source, sometimes rising from the trees, the wind-swept slopes, or even from the mountain itself. Some hikers interpret the sounds as warning signals, cautioning them against continuing, while others feel the tones are strangely protective, guiding them along the safest paths. The chanting is described in varying ways, sometimes rhythmic and structured, other times erratic and haunting, yet always leaving an impression that the mountain communicates in a language beyond ordinary understanding. The so-called Watchers are central to the Mount Shasta legend. Described as guardian-like spirits, they are said to appear to hikers who stray too far or attempt to ascend the peak unprepared. Encounters often involve a sense of both awe and unease. Witnesses report that the Watchers seem aware of their intentions, appearing at strategic locations along trails, near cliff edges, or at high vantage points overlooking valleys. They are generally silent, yet their presence is unmistakable, leaving hikers with the sense that they are being guided or observed for reasons unknown. Some accounts describe the figures as glowing faintly, others as blending perfectly with shadows, and a few even report seeing multiple figures simultaneously. Whether benevolent or foreboding, the Watchers leave a lasting impression on all who encounter them. Beyond visual and auditory phenomena, hikers frequently experience physical sensations associated with the mountain's paranormal reputation. Sudden chills, tingling along the skin, and inexplicable pressures on the chest or back are common reports. Some feel a shift in time perception, where a few minutes can feel like hours, or experience a heightened sense of intuition that guides them along the safest trail routes. These experiences are often paired with visual or auditory encounters, reinforcing the idea that Mount Shasta's mystical influence is both tangible and pervasive. Even seasoned climbers and skeptics report moments of unease and disorientation that cannot be explained by environmental factors alone. Historical accounts and local lore contribute to Mount Shasta's enigmatic reputation. Indigenous tribes, including the Wintu, Shasta, and Modoc, have long considered the mountain sacred, believing it to be the dwelling place of powerful, spiritual entities. Their oral histories describe guardians and spirits that inhabit the mountain, interacting with those who traverse its slopes. European settlers later added tales of mysterious disappearances, unexplainable phenomena, and strange lights appearing along the ridges at night. Over the years, these stories merged, creating a tapestry of legend that continues to attract both believers and the curious. Group experiences further underscore the mountain's otherworldly presence. Hikers in parties have reported seeing shadowy figures simultaneously, hearing synchronized chanting, or feeling collective chills and pressure. Some recount that electronic devices, such as cameras and flashlights, malfunction in areas associated with the watchers, flickering or failing entirely. In other instances, wildlife behaves unusually near these encounters, with birds taking sudden flight or deer pausing as if aware of an unseen observer. These shared experiences lend credibility to the notion that Mount Shasta's mysterious activity is more than mere imagination. The spy tour, perhaps because of its mystical reputation, Mount Shasta remains a sought-after destination for adventurers and spiritual seekers alike. Hikers come for the breathtaking scenery, challenging terrain, and the chance to witness its famed snowfields and volcanic peaks. Yet many return with stories of encounters, impressions of silent watchers, and the lingering sense of being part of a landscape that exists between the natural and supernatural. The mountain draws those who seek adventure, but it also calls to those who are open to its mysterious presence, a place where legends live on in the wind, the forest, and the snow. Mount Shasta is a mountain of contrasts, majestic yet ominous, serene yet charged with energy, welcoming to hikers but populated by unseen observers. Shadowy figures among the trees, melodic chants on the ridges, and the ever-watchful presence of the watchers combine to create an experience that lingers long after the climb ends. Visitors leave with memories of breathtaking views intertwined with subtle fear and fascination. A reminder that some mountains hold more than snow and stone. They hold the echoes of spirits, guardians, and forces that defy explanation. Big Basin Redwoods State Park, nestled in Santa Cruz County, is California's oldest state park and home to towering redwoods that have stood for centuries, creating a sense of timelessness that draws hikers from near and far. But beyond its natural beauty, Big Basin carries a reputation for eerie experiences and unexplained phenomena. Visitors report sudden cold spots, the sound of ghostly footsteps echoing through the trees, and shadowy figures moving silently between the trunks. Among the most enduring legends is that of a park ranger from the 1800s, whose spirit is said to wander the forest, either protecting the living or haunting those who disrespect the ancient woods. Hikers often describe an almost immediate change in atmosphere when entering certain parts of the park. Even on sunny days, patches of forest feel unnaturally cold, as if the temperature itself is responding to some unseen presence. The air can become heavy, carrying a faint scent of wet earth and pine that seems almost electric, signaling to visitors that they are stepping into a place charged with history and mystery. Many reports feeling watched, a prickling awareness that seems to originate from the shadows between the redwoods, where sunlight rarely penetrates and shapes can move unnoticed. One of the most common phenomena in Big Basin is the sound of footsteps along deserted trails. Hikers frequently hear the crunch of leaves and the snap of twigs behind them, only to find that no one is there. In some cases, the footsteps match their own pace, following closely for minutes at a time before abruptly stopping. Others report hearing the boots of someone marching alongside trails, accompanied by the faint whistle of wind through the trees, reminiscent of an old ranger patrolling the forest. The sounds are often accompanied by an uneasy feeling of being observed, intensifying the sense that the forest is alive with unseen eyes. Shadowy figures are another frequent encounter. Visitors describe shapes that move between the massive trunks, tall and indistinct, vanishing when approached. Some are seen standing silently on trail intersections or perched on rocks overlooking streams, as if guarding or observing the path ahead. Others appear fleetingly in the corner of one's vision, leaving hikers unsure whether they have seen a person, an animal, or something more supernatural. These apparitions often seem deliberate in their movements, as though aware of the hiker's presence and choosing when to appear or disappear. The legend of the 1800s park ranger adds a human face to the haunting. According to local lore, he died during a violent storm while patrolling the forest. Caught in the redwood's dense undergrowth, his dedication to the park was so strong that some believe his spirit never left. Many hikers recount seeing a tall figure wearing an old-fashioned uniform, sometimes carrying a lantern or walking stick, slowly moving along the trails. Some accounts suggest he warns visitors of danger, guiding them back from slippery slopes or leading them away from unstable cliffs. Others say his presence is less benevolent, appearing to those who are reckless, loud, or disrespectful, ensuring that the ancient forest is treated with reverence. The forest itself seems to amplify these experiences. Big basins, redwoods, create deep shadows even in daylight, and the dense canopy muffles sound, making the smallest noise, footsteps, rustling leaves, or falling branches feel magnified. Mist frequently rolls through the forest, blurring outlines and making familiar trails seem unfamiliar. Hikers often note that landmarks appear to shift slightly, as if the forest is rearranging itself, and that paths previously walked can seem longer or shorter than expected. These distortions, combined with ghostly sightings and sounds, create a surreal environment where reality and legend intertwine. Historical events add context to the park's haunted reputation. Big Basin was home to Native American tribes, early settlers, and loggers, and countless lives have intersected with the redwoods over centuries. Storms, accidents, and mysterious disappearances are recorded in local archives and oral histories, suggesting that the forest has long been a place of both beauty and danger. Many believe that these past events leave an imprint on the landscape, creating residual energy that manifests as cold spots, phantom footsteps, or shadowy figures. The story of the park ranger embodies this connection between human history and the supernatural, a spirit forever tied to the forest he once protected. Group experiences reinforce the park's eerie reputation. Hikers traveling in pairs or small parties often report that multiple people hear the same phantom footsteps, see the same shadowy figure, or feel synchronized chills. Some describe electronic devices flickering or failing while these encounters occur, adding a layer of inexplicable interference. Wildlife behavior can also appear unusual. Birds suddenly taking flight, squirrels freezing midst, or deer appearing and disappearing without warning. These shared phenomena suggest that the park is mysterious. Energy is not purely subjective, but interacts with both people and the environment in subtle, tangible ways. Despite its haunted reputation, Big Basin Redwoods State Park remains a beloved destination. Hikers are drawn to the sheer majesty of the redwoods, the sound of streams cascading through the forest, and the sense of walking through a living cathedral of nature. Yet for those aware of the park's history and legends, every trail carries an added tension. The footsteps in the leaves, the shapes among the trees, and the watchful presence of the ranger make each hike an experience that blends awe, fear, and respect for the forest's enduring spirit. Big Basin is more than a park. It is a place where time, memory, and energy converge. Its towering redwoods shelter not only plants and animals, but also echoes of the past, lingering spirits, and the protective or possibly vengeful presence of a ranger who never left. Hikers who venture into its depths may encounter shadows, hear ghostly steps, or feel the sudden chill of unseen eyes upon them. These experiences remind visitors that some forests are alive in ways beyond the physical. and that the oldest redwoods of Santa Cruz County hold secrets that have endured for centuries. Joshua Tree National Park, stretching across San Bernardino County, is famous for its stark, otherworldly desert landscapes, where twisted Joshua trees punctuate vast expanses of sand and rock. By day, the park offers breathtaking views, rugged hiking trails, and a unique ecosystem that draws visitors from around the world. But as the sun dips below the horizon, a different side of Joshua Tree emerges, one filled with strange occurrences, ghostly apparitions, and unexplained phenomena that have fascinated hikers, campers, and locals for generations. The desert, with its ancient rocks and abandoned structures, seems to hold memories of the past, whispering stories to those who dare to listen. Many hikers have reported seeing figures moving in the shadows after dark. These apparitions often appear near old mines, crumbling homesteads, or abandoned cabins scattered across the desert. Witnesses describe seeing silhouettes that stand silently against the horizon, sometimes walking slowly across the sand or pausing at the edges of rock formations. The figures are generally humanoid, but their features are indistinct, shrouded in shadow, and they vanish when approached. Some hikers insist that the apparitions seem aware of their presence, lingering for just long enough to be noticed before disappearing into the night. The desert's silence amplifies every sound, making the sudden appearance of a figure even more startling and unnerving. Unusual lights are another hallmark of Joshua Tree's eerie reputation. Visitors frequently report glowing orbs floating in the distance, flickering between rock formations, or hovering near abandoned mines. The lights are sometimes described as bright and pulsating, other times as faint and ethereal, drifting across the desert without any apparent source. These phenomena often occur at night, when the desert is at its quietest, and witnesses note that the lights do not behave like any known natural or man-made illumination. Some speculate they are manifestations of spirits, echoes of miners who once worked in the harsh environment, or unexplained energy lingering in the desert. Regardless of their origin, the lights inspire both wonder and unease, creating an otherworldly atmosphere that feels alive with mystery. The wind itself seems to carry messages in Joshua Tree. Hikers have reported hearing whispers in the darkness, voices that drift across valleys and through canyons, as though the desert is speaking directly to them. The words are rarely clear, often sounding like soft murmurs or indistinct calls, but the effect is unmistakable. Some describe the sensation of being watched, a prickling awareness that unseen eyes are tracking their movements. Even when no one else is around, the desert feels alive, as if each gust of wind carries the memory of past lives, accidents, and tragedies. These auditory experiences often coincide with visual sightings, intensifying the sense of the desert as a sentient, watchful environment. Historical context adds weight to the park's supernatural tales. The harsh desert was home to miners, homesteaders, and travelers who faced extreme conditions, frequent accidents, and mysterious disappearances. Abandoned mines and cabins serve as silent reminders of these past lives, and some believe that the lingering spirits of those who perished in the desert continue to inhabit these sites. Reports of apparitions near these structures often describe figures wearing clothing from decades past, sometimes carrying tools or lanterns, suggesting that the desert preserves echoes of history in a tangible way. Visitors often feel a profound connection to these stories as they walk past dilapidated buildings or explore rocky outcrops, adding an element of historical resonance to their experiences. Hikers have also noted physical sensations that accompany their encounters. Sudden chills, tingling skin, and inexplicable feelings of heaviness are frequently reported, especially near areas where apparitions or lights have been sighted. Some describe a subtle pressure in the air, a sense that the environment is subtly manipulating the senses, creating a heightened awareness of every movement and sound. These sensations contribute to the desert's reputation as a place where the natural and supernatural intertwine, where ordinary perception is challenged, and where each step carries the potential for an encounter with the unknown. Group experiences often reinforce the park's eerie reputation, Parties, hiking, or camping together sometimes report simultaneous sightings of lights, figures, or shadowy movements, as well as collective sensations of being watched. Electronic devices, including flashlights, cameras, and phones, occasionally malfunction in areas associated with paranormal activity, flickering or turning off inexplicably. Wildlife can also behave unusually, with birds taking sudden flight, desert rodents disappearing abruptly, or coyotes vocalizing without visible cause. These shared experiences suggest that the desert's phenomena are not merely subjective, but interact with both people and the environment in subtle, tangible ways. Despite the stories of apparitions, mysterious lights, and whispered warnings, Joshua Tree remains a popular destination for hikers, photographers, and adventurers. Visitors are drawn to the park's natural beauty, unusual geology, and the quiet solitude of its desert trails. Yet those who are aware of its haunted reputation often approach with heightened caution, curiosity, and respect. Each hike or nighttime excursion carries the possibility of witnessing phenomena that transcend ordinary experience. Whether a fleeting shadow among the Joshua trees, an orb of light floating across a canyon, or the sensation of an unseen presence following silently, Joshua Tree National Park is more than a landscape of sand, rock, and sky. It is a place where history, nature, and the supernatural converge. Ghostly figures linger near abandoned mines, lights drift across the desert, and whispers ride the wind, creating an environment that is simultaneously beautiful and unsettling. Hikers who explore its trails may encounter these phenomena, experiencing a desert that seems alive with memory, energy, and unseen eyes. For those who wander its paths at night, Joshua Tree is not simply a park, it's a place where the ordinary and the extraordinary coexist, where the desert itself watches, listens, and endures long after the sun has set. Aliso and Wood Canyons Wilderness Park, located in the heart of Orange County, offers hikers scenic trails, rugged canyons, and sweeping views of the surrounding hills. By day, the park is alive, with the sounds of birds, flowing streams, and the chatter of fellow adventurers. Sunlight filters through oak and sycamore trees, illuminating rock formations and winding paths that invite exploration. Yet, as daylight fades, the park's serene beauty takes on a darker, more unsettling character. Trails that seemed inviting in the morning can feel isolating and mysterious after sunset, and many hikers have reported experiences that defy simple explanation. Whispers in the wind, rustling in empty brush, and fleeting shadowy figures suggest that the wilderness holds secrets hidden beyond the reach of daylight. Visitors often notice a shift in the atmosphere as evening approaches. Temperatures can drop suddenly, and the familiar scents of sage and pine take on a heavier, almost metallic quality. In areas where wildlife is sparse, hikers frequently report hearing sounds that should not exist: rustling leaves, snapping twigs, and soft whispers echoing through the canyons. These noises appear to have no origin, often seeming to follow hikers along the trails or emerge from areas of dense brush and rock, where no animal could hide. The effect is disorienting, creating a sense that the park itself is alive, observing and responding to intrusions into its shadowed depths. Shadowy figures are among the most commonly reported phenomena in Aliso and Wood Canyons. Hikers describe dark silhouettes darting between trees, gliding along cliff edges, or vanishing behind boulders just as they attempt to approach. These figures are usually humanoid in shape but lack distinguishing features, appearing as mere outlines in the darkness. Their movements are sudden and deliberate, creating the impression of intelligence or purpose. Some hikers have seen these shapes pause and watch before disappearing entirely, leaving an eerie awareness that something unseen is tracking their progress. These sightings are fleeting, yet they leave a lasting impression of unease, suggesting a presence in the park that is more than natural or coincidental. Auditory phenomena often accompany these visual encounters. Whispers, murmurs, or faint voices are reported frequently along the trails, particularly in narrow canyon areas or near rock overhangs. The voices are usually indistinct, sometimes resembling conversations or warning calls. but they dissolve into silence when hikers stop to listen closely. Rustling and snapping sounds often seem synchronized with these whispers, as if invisible beings are moving just out of sight. The combination of sound and movement heightens the tension, making hikers hyper-aware of every step and shadow, and leaving many with the impression that the wilderness itself is communicating or responding. Several areas of the park are considered hotspots for these experiences. Trails near steep cliffs, dense groves, and secluded rock formations are most frequently associated with sightings of shadowy figures or unexplained sounds. Hikers report sudden chills or tingling sensations in these areas, as though an unseen presence is brushing past or hovering nearby. Some describe a pressure in the air, a sensation of being watched even when alone, or a strange shift in time perception, where minutes feel longer or shorter than expected. These physical and psychological effects amplify the sense that Aliso and Wood canyons are haunted not by conventional spirits, but by a force intimately connected to the landscape itself. Historical context adds to the park's aura of mystery. The canyons were once inhabited by indigenous peoples who left traces of their presence in rock art, tools, and pathways. Later, settlers, ranchers, and hikers traversed the same trails, enduring the harshness of the terrain. Some believe that the energy of those who lived, worked, and sometimes died here lingers in the wilderness. Ghost stories and reports of strange phenomena have been shared for generations, becoming part of the local lore. These tales suggest that the park preserves the echoes of past lives, experiences, and perhaps warnings for those who wander its trails after dark. Group experiences reinforce the park's reputation for the unexplained. Hikers traveling together sometimes report seeing the same shadowy figure simultaneously, hearing whispers in unison, or feeling synchronized chills along a particular trail. Electronic devices, such as flashlights or cameras, occasionally fail or behave erratically during these encounters, flickering or shutting off without explanation. Wildlife can also act strangely, with birds taking sudden flight, lizards freezing mid-motion, or coyotes remaining unnaturally silent. These shared phenomena suggest that the park's unusual occurrences are not simply products of imagination, but interactions between the environment, its history, and those who explore it. Despite its unsettling reputation, Aliso and Wood Canyon's Wilderness Park remains a favorite destination for hikers, runners, and nature enthusiasts. The dramatic canyons, panoramic vistas, and biodiversity of plants and animals offer unparalleled outdoor experiences. Yet for those aware of the park's haunted reputation, every evening hike carries a heightened awareness of the environment. Shadows between the trees, the rustle of unseen movement, and the whispers on the wind create a sense that the wilderness is alive with memory and intent. Hikers are drawn not only by natural beauty, but by the allure of encountering the unexplained. The thrill of walking trails where the past and present seem to coexist. Aliso and Wood Canyons is more than just a park. It is a place where the natural and supernatural converge. Its trails and rock formations shelter echoes of long-gone lives, shadowy figures, and sounds that defy logical explanation. Hikers who venture into the canyons after sunset may feel chills, hear ghostly whispers, or witness fleeting movements that vanish before they can be identified. These experiences remind visitors that the wilderness carries more than flora and fauna. It holds the lingering presence of history, energy, and perhaps something beyond the ordinary, silently watching those who walk its paths. El Dorado National Forest, sprawling across the Sierra Nevada, is a landscape of dense pine forests, rushing rivers, and rugged mountain trails. Its beauty attracts hikers, campers, and adventurers, yet beneath the picturesque scenery lies a history filled with hardship, tragedy, and tales that blur the line between the natural and the supernatural. Visitors who venture deep into the forest often report strange occurrences, shadowy figures glimpsed between the towering pines, sudden chills that seem to materialize from nowhere, and the faint, mournful sound of weeping carried on the wind. These experiences, whispered among locals and hikers alike, suggest that the forest is more than a collection of trees and trails. It is a place alive with the echoes of its past. The most commonly reported phenomenon in El Dorado National Forest is the sudden appearance of shadowy figures. Hikers describe humanoid silhouettes moving silently among the trees, sometimes following them along narrow paths, or disappearing just beyond sight. These shapes are often tall and indistinct, lacking discernible features, but their movements seem deliberate. Some witnesses claim the figures linger near old mining sites or along isolated sections of trail, as if tethered to specific locations. The sudden glimpse of a shadow that vanishes before it can be approached leaves hikers with an unsettling awareness that they are not alone in the forest. Accompanying these visual experiences are auditory phenomena that enhance the forest's eerie reputation. Many hikers report hearing distant weeping or moaning, voices that seem sorrowful and human yet have no visible source. The sounds often echo through the valleys and between the pines, making it difficult to pinpoint their origin. Some accounts describe the cries as desperate, carrying the sense of someone lost or trapped, while others hear whispers that seem to follow them along the trail. These auditory experiences often appear in conjunction with visual sightings, reinforcing the impression that the forest is inhabited by restless spirits or lingering energies. Temperature anomalies are another hallmark of El Dorado's haunted reputation. Visitors frequently report sudden, localized drops in temperature along the trails, sometimes accompanied by goosebumps or a prickling sensation on the skin. These cold spots often appear in areas where shadowy figures have been seen or where the cries of weeping are heard. The temperature shifts are abrupt and inexplicable, creating an uncomfortable sensation that the environment itself is responding to human presence. Hikers often describe these moments as chilling and disorienting, heightening the feeling that they are being observed or followed. Historical context provides insight into the forest's unsettling atmosphere. During the California gold rush of the mid-1800s, miners ventured deep into the Sierra Nevada in search of fortune. Many perished due to accidents, exposure, or violence, leaving behind abandoned camps, collapsed mines, and scattered remnants of their work. Local legend suggests that the spirits of these miners remain in the forest, eternally wandering the trails and sites where they toiled. Some are said to search for lost gold, while others are bound to the places where their lives ended, endlessly repeating the struggles and sorrows of their final days. Hikers who encounter shadowy figures near old mines often believe they are witnessing these restless spirits, eternally tied to the forest and its history. Encounters in El Dorado are often reinforced by shared experiences. Hikers traveling in groups sometimes report that multiple members simultaneously see a shadowy figure, hear distant weeping, or feel sudden chills. These group experiences lend credibility to the idea that the phenomena are not purely the product of imagination. Electronic devices such as cameras or flashlights occasionally fail in these areas, flickering or shutting off without explanation. Wildlife behavior can also appear unusual during such moments, with birds taking sudden flight or deer remaining unnaturally still. These occurrences create a sense that the forest is interacting with its visitors, subtly influencing both perception and environment. Certain areas of the forest have gained notoriety as hotspots for these experiences. Trails leading to abandoned mining sites, hidden valleys, and dense stands of pines are particularly associated with shadow sightings and cold spots. Hikers often describe a feeling of apprehension when entering these areas, a sense that the forest is alive with memory and that the past is present in a tangible, almost physical form. Even experienced outdoorsmen and seasoned campers report a heightened sense of awareness in these zones, where every sound, shadow, and gust of wind feels charged with unseen intent. The combination of natural beauty and paranormal reputation makes El Dorado National Forest both alluring and intimidating. By day, the forest is a place of breathtaking scenery, with sunlight filtering through pine needles, streams glinting as they wind through the canyons, and wildflowers dotting the forest floor. By night, the same forest becomes a realm of uncertainty, where shadows move independently of their surroundings, and the cries of the past seem to echo across the valleys. Hikers drawn to the forest for adventure or solitude often find themselves humbled by the sense that the land holds deeper, unseen layers of history and energy. El Dorado National Forest is a place where time, memory, and environment converge. Shadowy figures, sudden chills, and mournful sounds create a palpable sense of presence, suggesting that the past is never truly gone. The spirits of miners who once labored in the rugged wilderness may linger along trails and near old mines, ensuring that their struggles are remembered. Hikers who traverse the forest may experience moments of fear, awe, and reverence, reminded that this forest is not merely a natural space, it is a living archive of human endeavor, tragedy, and enduring spirit. For those who walk its trails with awareness, El Dorado National Forest offers more than hiking. It offers a connection to history and the mysterious. Shadowy figures glimpsed between towering pines, sudden drops in temperature, and the distant sound of weeping are not just stories. They are invitations to witness the forest's unseen layers. In El Dorado, the natural and supernatural coexist, reminding visitors that some landscapes hold memories that persist long after the living have passed. Henrico State Park, located in the rolling hills and rugged terrain of Santa Clara County, is California's second-largest state park, encompassing vast expanses of wilderness, canyons, and ridgelines. Its trails attract hikers, mountain bikers, and nature enthusiasts eager to explore its remote landscapes. By day, the park offers breathtaking views of oak-studded hills, chaparral-covered valleys, and winding streams. Yet, as evening falls and fog rolls over the hills, the park's tranquil beauty can give way to an unsettling presence. For decades, hikers have shared stories of strange encounters, whispers echoing through canyons, shadowy figures moving along ridgelines, and ghostly apparitions that vanish the moment they are approached. One of the most frequently reported phenomena in Henrico is the sound of disembodied whispers. Hikers on narrow trails often hear faint voices drifting across canyons, as if carried on the wind. The whispers are usually indistinct, sometimes rising and falling like a conversation, other times resembling soft warnings. Many report that these sounds seem to come from areas devoid of other hikers or wildlife, creating an uncanny sense of isolation. Some describe the whispers as urgent or sorrowful, and they often coincide with glimpses of shadowy shapes along ridgelines or in the fog, reinforcing the feeling that the park is alive with unseen observers. Shadowy figures are a hallmark of the park's haunted reputation. Visitors describe humanoid silhouettes that appear at the edges of their vision or along ridgelines, far above the trails. These figures often vanish when approached, leaving hikers questioning whether they truly saw something or whether it was a trick of light and shadow. The shapes are usually tall and featureless, sometimes moving deliberately, as if pacing or watching. On foggy nights, these figures appear even more mysterious, emerging from the mist only to disappear again, leaving a lingering sense of being observed. Among the park's most enduring legends is the ghost of a lone prospector. According to local lore, the prospector wandered the hills during the gold rush era, searching for veins of gold and surviving in the rugged wilderness with only a lantern to light his path. Some accounts suggest he met a tragic end, lost to the dense canyons and fog, never to return. Hikers report seeing a faint, glowing light bobbing along ridgelines on foggy nights, accompanied by the silhouette of a lone figure holding a lantern. The prospector appears and disappears without warning, sometimes watching silently before vanishing into the mist. Many believe he is still searching the hills he once roamed, a restless spirit bound to the land he loved. Temperature and environmental changes often accompany these encounters. Hikers frequently note sudden drops in temperature, a chill that seems localized and inexplicable. The fog itself can shift and thicken around areas of reported sightings, creating a sense of isolation even on familiar trails. Some describe a weight in the air, a subtle pressure that heightens their awareness and makes every sound feel amplified. The combination of visual, auditory, and physical sensations contributes to the park's reputation as a place where the ordinary rules of perception are challenged, and where the past may linger as tangibly as the present. Historical context enhances the park's mysterious aura. Henrico State Park was home to Native American tribes, settlers, and prospectors who navigated its steep ridges and canyons long before it became protected land. The rugged terrain, frequent fog, and remote location made survival difficult, and accidents, disappearances, and deaths were common. Many believe that the energies of those who lived and perished in these hills remain embedded in the landscape, giving rise to residual phenomena such as whispers, shadows, and ghostly lights. The prospector's legend is a tangible connection to this history, embodying the park's blend of natural beauty and lingering sorrow. Group experiences often reinforce these reports. Small hiking parties sometimes witness the same figures or hear identical whispers, strengthening the perception that these phenomena are not purely subjective. Cameras and electronic devices occasionally malfunction during such encounters, flickering or shutting down without explanation. Wildlife behavior can also appear unusual. Birds taking flight without visible cause, rabbits freezing mid-step, or distant howls echoing through the canyons with no source. These shared and corroborated experiences suggest that the park's mysteries interact with both people and environment, making Henrico a place of heightened sensitivity and unexplained occurrences. Certain trails and ridges have gained notoriety as hotspots for paranormal activity. Steep paths leading to high overlooks, dense oak groves, and fog-prone canyons are often associated with sightings of shadowy figures or the ghostly prospector. Hikers frequently report an immediate sense of unease when entering these areas, as if the land itself is aware of their presence. Even seasoned outdoorsmen feel heightened tension, noting that familiar paths can suddenly seem longer, steeper, or more treacherous than they did in daylight, as if the terrain itself conspires with the park's lingering spirits. Despite the eerie stories, Henrico remains a beloved destination for outdoor enthusiasts. Hikers are drawn to its rugged trails, panoramic vistas, and the solitude that comes from venturing into a vast wilderness. Yet for those who know the park's haunted reputation, every evening hike carries an extra layer of awareness. The whispers in the canyons, shadowy figures on the ridgelines, and the glow of a lone lantern in the fog remind visitors that the park is more than its physical landscape. It is a place where history, memory, and the unexplained converge. Shadowy figures, inexplicable whispers, and the ghostly lantern of the prospector create an atmosphere that blends awe, fear, and reverence. Hikers who traverse its trails at dusk or in fog may witness the park's hidden layers. A land where the past persists, spirits linger, and the wilderness itself seems aware of every step taken within its boundaries. For those willing to venture into its depths, Henrico offers not just adventure, but the chance to encounter the unknown, a place where the ordinary and the extraordinary coexists beneath the towering oaks and rugged ridges. Mount Baldy, rising dramatically within the Angeles National Forest, is a destination that attracts hikers, climbers, and thrill-seekers from across Southern California. Its steep slopes, rugged cliffs, and panoramic views of the surrounding mountains make it both challenging and breathtaking. Yet beneath the natural beauty lies a history of danger and unexplained occurrences. While the mountain has claimed the lives of many climbers over the years, it has also become a site of supernatural stories, whispered among locals and outdoor enthusiasts alike. Hikers recount encounters with shadowy figures, mysterious rockslides, and the haunting echo of footsteps trailing them along empty trails, suggesting that the spirits of those lost to Mount Baldy may never have left. One of the most commonly reported phenomena on Mount Baldy is the appearance of shadowy figures. These figures are often described as humanoid silhouettes that seem to follow hikers along the trails, especially on narrow paths, near cliffs, or dense wooded areas. Witnesses report that these shadows move deliberately, sometimes keeping pace with them for minutes at a time, before vanishing without a trace when approached. Hikers describe a growing sense of unease, a feeling that they are being watched or pursued, even when no one else is in sight. The figures are featureless, dark shapes that blend seamlessly with the mountain's natural shadows, making it difficult to determine whether they are the product of imagination natural light and rock formations, or something far more sinister. Another unsettling aspect of Mount Baldy is the occurrence of sudden rock slides. Several hikers have reported witnessing small rock falls or the collapse of loose stones without any apparent cause. Sometimes these rock slides occur directly along a trail, narrowly missing those passing by. Some locals believe these events are connected to the mountain's restless spirits, a warning or demonstration of the power that lurks in the cliffs. The rock slides often coincide with other strange phenomena: a shadow passing nearby, a sudden drop in temperature, or the sensation of being followed. This combination of visual, auditory, and environmental disturbances heightens the mountain's reputation as a place where the boundary between the natural and supernatural is tenuous. Auditory phenomena are another common experience on Mount Baldy. Hikers frequently report hearing the echo of footsteps following them, particularly in the upper reaches of the mountain or along narrow ridgelines. These sounds are often described as heavy and deliberate, matching the pace of the hiker. But when they stop to investigate, there is no one there. Some have heard whispered voices carried on the wind, faint enough to be mistaken for echoes, but unsettling in their repetition. The combination of unseen footsteps, whispers, and the natural acoustics of the mountain can create a disorienting atmosphere, making even experienced hikers feel exposed and vulnerable. Historical context adds depth to the mountain's eerie reputation. Mount Baldy, also known as Mount San Antonio, has long been a site of human endeavor. From indigenous peoples navigating its rugged terrain to settlers and climbers testing their skills on its cliffs, tragedy has always been a part of the mountain's story. Accidents, sudden storms, and lost climbers are woven into its history. Local legend maintains that those who perished here never truly left, their spirits lingering among the peaks and canyons, forever bound to the mountain. Hikers often interpret unexplained sights and sounds as evidence of these restless souls, a reminder that the mountain is alive with memory and unfinished stories. Group experiences on Mount Baldy often reinforce these eerie reports. Parties hiking together sometimes note that multiple members simultaneously see a shadowy figure, hear footsteps behind them, or experience the sensation of a presence lingering nearby. Electronic devices such as flashlights or cameras occasionally fail or flicker during these encounters, heightening the sense of the unexplained. Wildlife may behave unusually as well, with birds taking sudden flight or animals remaining unnaturally still. These collective experiences suggest that the mountain interacts with those who enter its domain, creating a palpable tension that lingers long after the hike is over. Certain trails and areas of Mount Baldy have become infamous as hotspots for supernatural activity. Steep upper trails, cliffside paths, and secluded canyons are the most frequently associated with sightings and unexplained phenomena. Hikers report an immediate sense of unease upon entering these areas, as if the mountain itself is aware of their presence. Familiar trails can feel unfamiliar and longer than expected, the terrain shifting in ways that amplify fear and uncertainty. Even experienced climbers and outdoor enthusiasts are often caught off guard by the intensity of the sensations. From visual sightings to inexplicable sounds and environmental shifts. Despite the mountain's reputation, Mount Baldy remains a sought-after destination for outdoor adventurers. Its challenging trails, scenic vistas, and opportunities for solitude continue to draw visitors eager to test their endurance and enjoy the natural beauty. However, for those aware of the mountain's haunted reputation, every hike carries an added layer of awareness. The shadowy figures, sudden rock slides, and echoing footsteps serve as constant reminders that Mount Baldy is more than a physical landscape. It is a repository of history, tragedy, and perhaps lingering spirits. Mount Baldy is a wilderness alive with mystery. Shadowy figures darting along ridgelines, sudden rock slides, and ghostly footsteps create an atmosphere charged with tension, fear, and awe. Hikers who traverse its upper trails at dusk or in fog may feel a presence that defies explanation, a sense that the mountain watches, listens, and endures the memory of those who have fallen. For those willing to explore its peaks and canyons, Mount Baldy offers not only adventure, but the chance to encounter the unknown. A place where the natural and supernatural coexist in silent, haunting harmony. Topanga State Park, sprawling across the coastal hills of Los Angeles County, is a destination where natural beauty and eerie mystery intersect. By day, its winding trails, oak-studded ridgelands, and sweeping views of the Pacific Ocean make it a haven for hikers, mountain bikers, and nature lovers. Wildflowers bloom along trails, and sunlight filters through the dense foliage, casting dancing shadows on the ground. Yet when the sun sets and darkness envelops the canyons and ridges, Topanga transforms. Many visitors have reported unsettling experiences. Figures standing motionless on high ridges, glowing eyes watching from dense brush, and faint, haunting melodies carried on the wind. These accounts suggest that the park is a place where the past lingers, and spirits of those who once inhabited the land may still roam. One of the most commonly reported phenomena in Topanga State Park is the appearance of shadowy figures. Hikers often describe seeing humanoid shapes standing silently on ridgelines, watching them as they traverse the trails below. These figures remain still, almost statuesque, 4 minutes at a time before disappearing into the brush or fading into the darkness. Witnesses frequently note a sense of being observed, an unnerving awareness that eyes are following every movement. The figures are usually featureless, blending seamlessly with the night, but their presence is undeniable. Some hikers have felt compelled to change their route, choosing to avoid certain ridges where the figures have been spotted, wary of drawing too close to what they perceive as a watchful spirit. Glowing eyes are another hallmark of Topanga's haunted reputation. Visitors report glimpses of pairs of luminous eyes peering from the dense brush, often following them for several moments before vanishing. Unlike wildlife, these eyes seem to have a calculating awareness, moving independently of natural motion or animal behavior. Some hikers claim the eyes are always at a distance, appearing just beyond reach, creating the impression of being tracked across the landscape. The experience can be disorienting, as the forest's natural darkness conceals any definitive source, leaving hikers unsure whether they have witnessed an animal, an illusion, or something far more mysterious. Auditory phenomena add to the park's supernatural allure. Among the most common reports is the sound of faint singing, drifting through the canyons and along ridgelines on calm evenings. The melodies are soft and ethereal, often described as voices rising in harmony, singing in a language that seems ancient. Many believe these are the spirits of Native Americans who once inhabited the region, their songs lingering as echoes of ceremonies, stories, or prayers carried by the wind. The singing is unpredictable, sometimes heard only from a single direction, sometimes surrounding hikers entirely, creating the sensation of being enveloped by the voices of the past. Temperature anomalies and physical sensations often accompany these experiences. Hikers frequently note sudden chills, goosebumps, or an inexplicable heaviness in the air when approaching areas associated with sightings or sounds. Fog that rolls in from the nearby coast can thicken unexpectedly, reducing visibility and amplifying the eerie atmosphere. Some hikers report the feeling of being watched or even gently brushed by an unseen presence, though no one else is nearby. These combined sensory experiences heighten the sense of unease and suggest that Topanga State Park is a place where the environment itself interacts with those who enter its deeper, shadowed trails. Historical context enhances the park's haunting reputation. Long before the establishment of Topanga State Park, the land was home to Chumash and Tongva peoples, whose lives were deeply connected to the hills, canyons, and streams. Artifacts, trails, and ceremonial sites remain scattered throughout the area, evidence of centuries of habitation. Some believe that the lingering presence of these early inhabitants, particularly those who perished or were displaced, continues to influence the land. Shadowy figures and ghostly singing are often interpreted as the manifestation of this spiritual energy, a reminder that the hills remember the lives, struggles, and traditions of those who came before. Group experiences are frequently reported, where multiple hikers witness the same phenomena simultaneously. Parties traveling together may see a figure standing on a ridge, or hear the same ethereal melody carried on the wind. Electronic devices such as flashlights, cameras, or GPS units sometimes malfunction or flicker in these moments, further heightening the sense that the events are not merely products of imagination. Wildlife may behave unusually as well. Birds taking sudden flight, coyotes remaining eerily silent, or nocturnal animals appearing in unexpected places. Such collective experiences suggest that Topanga's mysterious occurrences are not isolated to individual perception, but are embedded in the environment itself. Certain areas of Topanga are especially notorious for supernatural encounters. Trails leading to high ridgelines, dense oak groves, and secluded canyons are often associated with sightings of shadowy figures or glowing eyes. Visitors report an immediate sense of apprehension when entering these zones, as if the land itself is aware of their presence. Even familiar trails can feel altered at night. Distances seem longer, turns more confusing, and the darkness more oppressive. Hikers often approach these areas with caution, aware that the park's history and natural energy converge in ways that defy explanation. Despite the eerie accounts, Topanga State Park remains a beloved destination. Its scenic beauty, diverse wildlife, and opportunities for solitude draw visitors year-round. Yet for those aware of the park's haunted reputation, each hike carries a heightened awareness. The figures on ridgelines, the glowing eyes in the brush, and the haunting songs on the wind serve as reminders that Topanga is more than a park. It is a place where history, memory, and unseen forces coexist. Topanga State Park offers hikers a unique intersection of nature and the unexplained. Shadowy figures, glowing eyes, and ethereal singing combine to create an atmosphere charged with mystery, tension, and reverence. Visitors who tread its trails after sunset may sense the lingering presence of the land's original inhabitants, watchful spirits, or other unknown forces. Whether these experiences are the echoes of history, the product of imagination, or the result of something supernatural, one thing is certain. In Topanga's coastal hills, the ordinary and the extraordinary coexist, silently observing those who walk among them. Mount San Jacinto, towering over Riverside County, is a destination that attracts hikers, climbers, and adventurers with its rugged trails, alpine forests, and sweeping views of the surrounding desert and valleys. By day, the mountain offers serene vistas, the scent of pine and cedar, and the gentle rustle of wildlife. Yet those who venture along its steep ridges and shadowed canyons often encounter a different side of the mountain, a side that seems alive with whispers, shadows, and the echo of the past. Many hikers report experiences that defy explanation. Disembodied voices drifting through canyons, footsteps that follow when no one is nearby, and shadowy humanoid figures vanishing into the dense trees. Some believe Mount San Jacinto itself possesses a consciousness, watching over or haunting those who traverse its slopes. One of the most frequently reported phenomena on Mount San Jacinto is the sound of disembodied voices. Hikers often describe hearing faint murmurs echoing through canyons, seemingly carried on the wind from unseen sources. These voices are often indistinct, rising and falling as though engaged in conversation, though no one is present. Some hikers report hearing urgent warnings or sorrowful cries, as if the mountain itself is attempting to communicate. The sounds are unpredictable, sometimes appearing when the trails are empty, other times accompanying glimpses of shadowy figures. The experience creates an unsettling awareness that the mountain is not simply a natural formation, but a space imbued with lingering presence. Hikers report seeing humanoid silhouettes between trees, moving along ridges, or standing silently among rocks. These shapes are usually featureless, dark forms that blend with the forest shadows, but their movements appear deliberate. Some figures are seen only for a moment before disappearing, while others seem to follow hikers along the trail without making a sound. Witnesses often describe a feeling of being watched, a growing sense of unease, as if unseen eyes track every step. On foggy or overcast days, the figures are more pronounced, emerging from mist and shadows with an otherworldly presence that leaves hikers questioning their own senses. Footsteps echoing behind hikers are a common report, often described as heavy, deliberate, and impossible to locate. Even in open areas with no other people, hikers hear the sound of steps matching their own pace. When they stop and turn, no one is there, leaving only the impression that an invisible companion is sharing the trail. Some hikers have reported multiple sets of footsteps, converging from different directions and then fading away. The auditory experiences heighten the sense of isolation and tension, reinforcing the belief that the mountain is aware of those who enter its domain. Environmental anomalies often accompany these experiences. Hikers frequently note sudden drops in temperature along ridgelines or within shaded canyons. Fog can roll in unexpectedly, reducing visibility and creating disorienting conditions. Shadows appear to shift independently of natural light, and the wind sometimes carries sounds in strange directions, as if manipulating perception. Wildlife behavior can also seem unusual. Birds taking flight without warning, deer freezing in place, or the faint rustle of movement in areas that should be empty. These combined visual, auditory, and physical experiences contribute to Mount San Jacinto's reputation as a place where the ordinary and extraordinary intersect. Historical context enhances the mountain's mystique. Mount San Jacinto has been a sacred and significant location for Native American tribes for centuries, particularly the Cahuilla people. The mountains, canyons, ridges, and springs are rich with stories, ceremonies, and spiritual practices. Some believe that the voices, shadows, and footsteps reported by modern hikers are echoes of these long-standing spiritual energies lingering in the landscape. Later, settlers and climbers who lost their lives on the steep trails may also contribute to the mountain's presence, and human tragedy creates an environment ripe for mysterious and unsettling experiences. Group experiences often reinforce these reports. Hikers traveling together sometimes witness the same shadowy figures, hear identical disembodied voices, or feel the same sudden chill. Electronic devices like cameras or flashlights may malfunction during these encounters, flickering or cutting out entirely. These occurrences create a shared sense of the uncanny. Even seasoned outdoorsmen find themselves unnerved by the intensity of these experiences, particularly when navigating the steep, silent trails at dusk or in foggy conditions. Certain trails and areas of Mount San Jacinto are particularly associated with paranormal activity. High ridgelines, deep canyons, and remote forested sections are the most commonly reported hotspots. Hikers entering these areas often report an immediate sense of caution or dread, as if the mountain itself is aware of their presence. Familiar trails can suddenly feel unfamiliar, distances stretching, shadows lengthening, and every sound amplified in a way that heightens tension. Even experienced hikers are often caught off guard by the mountain's subtle manipulation of perception, reinforcing the belief that it is more than just a geological formation. Despite its reputation for strange and unsettling occurrences, Mount San Jacinto remains a popular destination for hikers and outdoor enthusiasts. Its steep trails, panoramic views, and sense of wilderness continue to draw visitors year-round. However, those familiar with the mountain's haunted reputation approach their journeys with heightened awareness. The disembodied voices, shadowy figures, and echoing footsteps serve as reminders that the mountain is alive with memory, energy, and perhaps entities that remain unseen but ever present. Mount San Jacinto is a wilderness where natural beauty and the unexplained coexist. Shadowy figures, ghostly footsteps, and disembodied voices create an atmosphere of tension and reverence, reminding hikers that the mountain is more than a physical space, is a living archive of human experience, spiritual energy, and lingering presence. Those who traverse its trails, especially at dusk or in fog, may sense the consciousness of the mountain itself, watching over or haunting them, a reminder that some places retain a memory that never fades. Castle Rock Trail, nestled in the Santa Cruz Mountains near Los Gatos, is celebrated for its dramatic sandstone formations, moss-covered boulders, and winding paths through dense forest. By day, the trail offers serene, natural beauty, with sunlight streaming through towering redwoods and the soft rustle of leaves underfoot. Hikers come for the views, the unique rock formations, and the quiet of the forest. Yet, as daylight fades, Castle Rock reveals a different character, one steeped in history, mystery, and the whispers of the past. Those who venture onto its trails after sunset often report experiences that hint at a lingering presence, from sudden chills to glimpses of ghostly figures darting between trees. Some even claim to hear the distant laughter of miners, a haunting echo of lives lost during California's gold rush era. One of the most common experiences reported along Castle Rock Trail is the sudden and unexplained drop in temperature. Hikers frequently note that while the day may be warm, certain sections of the trail feel icy cold, as though an unseen force is present. These chills are often accompanied by an oppressive sense of being watched, an intangible pressure that causes unease. Some hikers feel compelled to glance over their shoulders repeatedly, only to find the path behind them empty, yet the sensation persists, heightening the trail's otherworldly atmosphere. Shadowy figures are another hallmark of Castle Rock's eerie reputation. Many hikers describe seeing fleeting silhouettes among the moss-covered boulders or the dense redwoods, moving quickly and disappearing when approached. These figures often appear humanoid, but are indistinct, blending with the forest's natural shadows. Witnesses report that these shapes seem deliberate in their movements, sometimes following hikers for short stretches or disappearing just as hikers turn to get a better look. The fleeting nature of these apparitions adds to the sense that Castle Rock is a place where the ordinary rules of perception do not always apply. Auditory phenomena are equally unsettling. Numerous hikers have reported hearing laughter echoing across the rocks, often described as light and playful, yet carrying an unnatural resonance. This laughter is frequently attributed to the miners who once worked in the area during the gold rush, their spirits said to linger in the forest. The echoes are unpredictable, sometimes seeming to come from nowhere or from multiple directions at once. Other hikers have reported whispers carried on the wind, the indistinct murmur of voices that vanish as soon as one attempts to locate their source. These auditory experiences can be profoundly disorienting, particularly in the quiet, shadowed sections of the trail. The history of the region provides context for these ghostly reports. The Santa Cruz Mountains were the site of early mining operations during California's gold rush, and many miners lived and worked in isolated conditions on rugged terrain. Accidents, landslides, and harsh working conditions claimed lives, leaving a legacy of hardship and tragedy. Local legend holds that some of these miners never truly left, their spirits bound to the hills and canyons where they once toiled. Hikers encountering strange sights or sounds on Castle Rock Trail often interpret them as remnants of this turbulent past, echoes of human endeavor frozen in the landscape. Group experiences along Castle Rock Trail often reinforce these reports. Hikers traveling together sometimes see the same shadowy figures or hear identical sounds, suggesting that these phenomena are not solely products of imagination. Some hikers have even observed their companions reacting to unseen presences simultaneously, feeling chills or sudden fear at the same moment. Equipment such as cameras or flashlights occasionally malfunction in these moments, flickering or failing unexpectedly, lending credence to the idea that the trail's supernatural elements interact with those who enter its domain. Environmental oddities often accompany these encounters. Fog can roll in suddenly, reducing visibility and creating a sense of isolation even on well-trodden sections of the trail. Mist clings to moss-covered boulders, amplifying the forest's shadows and transforming familiar landmarks into shapes that seem alive. Wildlife may behave unusually as well. Birds might take sudden flight without warning. Deer may freeze in place, or small animals may vanish into the underbrush without explanation. Uncertainty, and the impression that Castle Rock Trail is a living environment, aware of those who traverse it. Certain areas of the trail are especially associated with paranormal activity. The moss-covered boulders, twisting rock formations, and narrow ridgelines are the most frequently mentioned locations for sightings and unexplained sounds. Hikers report an immediate sense of caution or foreboding upon entering these areas, as if the forest itself is signaling a warning. Even familiar trails can feel unfamiliar at night. Distances seem elongated, shadows deepen, and the path seems to shift subtly beneath the feet. These experiences reinforce the idea that Castle Rock is a place where memory, history, and the unseen converge. Despite its haunted reputation, Castle Rock Trail remains a popular destination for hikers seeking both natural beauty and adventure. Its challenging climbs, panoramic views, and unique rock formations draw visitors year-round. However, those aware of the trail's mysterious reputation approach with heightened vigilance, mindful of the shadowy figures, sudden chills, and echoes of laughter that have been reported for generations. Castle Rock Trail is a place where nature and the past intertwine, creating an environment that is as haunting as it is beautiful. Shadowy figures, disembodied laughter, and sudden chills remind hikers that the forest remembers its history and those who once lived and worked within it. Whether these experiences are the echoes of miners, manifestations of restless spirits, or simply the mind responding to the trail's isolation and beauty, the atmosphere of Castle Rock Trail is undeniable. Hikers who traverse its moss-covered paths may sense a presence that watches, guides, or warns, leaving an indelible impression of a place where the natural and supernatural coexists in silent, haunting harmony. The Lake Tahoe Rim Trail, stretching across the Sierra Nevada and encircling the pristine waters of Lake Tahoe, is renowned for its panoramic vistas, alpine forests, and rugged beauty. By day, hikers traverse its well-marked paths, enjoying sparkling lakes, towering pines, and distant peaks bathed in sunlight. But as night falls, the trail takes on an entirely different character. Those who venture along the rim trail after dark often report strange, unsettling experiences. Shadowy figures glimpsed along the tree line, inexplicable whispers carried on the wind, and an overwhelming sense that the mountain and forest are watching. Locals and seasoned hikers alike speak of spirits of lost campers and travelers, lingering on the trail to warn the living or, perhaps seeking company in eternity. One of the most frequently reported phenomena along the Lake Tahoe Rim Trail is the appearance of shadowy figures. Hikers describe humanoid shapes moving between the dense pine trees or standing silently along the edge of the trail. These figures are often featureless, dark silhouettes that blend with the night, yet their presence is unmistakable. Some hikers report seeing the figures move in ways that defy natural behavior, gliding smoothly between trees or disappearing instantly when approached. These fleeting encounters leave a lasting impression, creating an intense sense of unease and awareness that the trail is not as empty as it seems. Auditory experiences are equally eerie. Many hikers report hearing whispers that seem to drift from nowhere, often carried across ridges and valleys by the night wind. These whispers vary from indistinct murmurs to the occasional clear word or phrase, sometimes even warnings. Turn back, or be careful. Some hikers describe hearing multiple voices speaking at once, overlapping and creating a disorienting cacophony that seems to emanate from the surrounding forest rather than any particular source. Others report faint laughter or cries, reminiscent of past campers or travelers who vanished along the trail, their spirits unwilling to leave the world of the living entirely. Temperature fluctuations and physical sensations often accompany these experiences. Hikers frequently note sudden drops in temperature along certain sections of the trail, sometimes feeling a cold, almost wet chill that surrounds them despite clear weather. Goosebumps, hair standing on end, and a heaviness in the chest are common symptoms reported during these encounters. Some hikers even report a sensation of being followed or lightly brushed by an unseen presence, though no one else is nearby. These physical effects contribute to the trail's haunted reputation, reinforcing the belief that the environment itself is imbued with unseen energies. Historical context adds depth to the rim trail's mysterious aura. The Sierra Nevada has long been a place of travel, settlement, and tragedy. Native American tribes once lived along the shores of Lake Tahoe. Later, settlers, prospectors, and campers traversed the region, often facing the harsh wilderness with little preparation. Accidents, sudden storms, and harsh winters claimed lives, leaving behind a lingering legacy. Many believe that these lost souls remain tied to the trail, their spirits wandering the tree line and ridges, either seeking to protect the living or unable to move on from the world they once knew. Group experiences along the rim trail often reinforce reports of the paranormal. Hikers traveling together sometimes witness the same shadowy figures, hear identical whispers, or feel the same sudden chills simultaneously. Electronic devices like flashlights, headlamps, or cameras have been reported to flicker or fail during these moments, adding to the impression that the trail is reacting to the presence of the living. Even seasoned outdoorsmen describe an inexplicable tension in the air, a sense of being watched, or a compulsion to hurry along certain sections of the trail without understanding why. Certain sections of the rim trail are particularly notorious for supernatural encounters. Remote ridgelines, densely forested valleys, and narrow paths along steep slopes are often cited as hotspots. Hikers approaching these areas report an immediate sense of caution or unease, as if the forest itself is aware of their presence. Even familiar trails can feel altered at night. Distances appear longer, sounds echo in unexpected ways, and shadows seem to shift independently of natural light. The combination of environmental, auditory, and visual anomalies creates a profound sense of mystery and tension. Wildlife behavior can also contribute to the trail's haunted reputation. Birds may take sudden flight without warning, nocturnal animals appear in unusual locations, and the stillness of the forest is occasionally broken by rustling in areas that should be empty. Some hikers interpret these behaviors as responses to the unseen spirits that wander the trail, further reinforcing the idea that Lake Tahoe Rim Trail exists in a space where the natural and supernatural coexist. Despite its haunted reputation, the Lake Tahoe Rim Trail continues to attract hikers and nature enthusiasts. Its breathtaking vistas, challenging terrain, and opportunities for solitude make it a favorite destination year-round. Yet those aware of the trail's eerie history approach with heightened awareness, mindful of the shadowy figures, whispering voices, and chilling atmosphere that many have experienced. The trail's beauty is undeniable, but so too is its sense of mystery, a reminder that some places hold memories and presences that extend far beyond the living. The Lake Tahoe Rim Trail is more than a scenic hiking route. It is a corridor where history, human tragedy, and supernatural energy intersect. Shadowy figures, ghostly whispers, and sudden chills serve as reminders that the forest remembers, that the mountain and its canyons hold secrets of those who once traveled the paths and never returned. Hikers traversing the trail after dark may sense an unseen presence, whether protective, mournful, or merely observing, leaving them with an unforgettable experience of a wilderness that is alive with memory, spirit, and the unexplained. Mount Diablo State Park, rising prominently in Contra Costa County, is known for its panoramic views, rugged trails, and dramatic rock formations. By day, the mountain draws hikers, climbers, and nature enthusiasts who come to experience its sweeping vistas of the San Francisco Bay, rolling hills, and distant peaks. Yet Mount Diablo has long been associated with more than natural beauty. For centuries, the mountain has been the site of strange occurrences and unexplained phenomena, leaving many visitors with stories of eerie sensations, shadowy figures, and fleeting apparitions. Locals and hikers alike recount experiences of sudden chills, rustling noises where no wind blows, and the occasional glimpse of figures moving among the rocks. On foggy mornings, some report seeing ghostly shapes wandering the slopes, believed to be the spirits of those who met tragic ends while attempting the mountain's challenging climbs. One of the most frequently reported experiences on Mount Diablo is the sudden, unexplained drop in temperature along certain sections of the trails. Hikers describe feeling an icy chill descend without warning, sometimes accompanied by goosebumps or a heavy feeling in the chest. This phenomenon is often linked to the presence of shadowy figures or other paranormal activity. Some hikers have reported standing in sunlight only to feel a sudden cold enveloping them, as if invisible eyes are watching or unseen hands brush past. The sensation is fleeting but unmistakable, leaving an eerie imprint long after they have moved on. Shadowy figures are a recurring element in Mount Diablo's haunted lore. Hikers frequently describe seeing dark, humanoid shapes among the rocks or peering from behind trees and boulders. These forms are often indistinct, featureless silhouettes that seem to merge with the natural shadows of the terrain, yet their movement feels deliberate. Some figures appear to follow hikers for short stretches before disappearing, while others are seen standing motionless, observing from a distance. Witnesses often report a feeling of being watched even when the trail is empty, a sensation that heightens tension and encourages a faster pace along the rugged paths. Auditory phenomena are also commonly reported. Hikers recount hearing rustling sounds in areas devoid of wildlife or wind, as if something unseen is moving through the underbrush. Some describe whispers carried on the breeze, faint words or phrases that vanish as soon as one attempts to locate the source. Others hear soft, distant cries or moans echoing across the valleys, reminiscent of tragedy or sorrow from past climbers. These sounds, often unpredictable and fleeting, amplify the sense that Mount Diablo is a place where the ordinary and the supernatural converge. The mountain's history provides context for these eerie experiences. Mount Diablo has long been considered sacred by Native American tribes, particularly the Bay Miwok, who believed the peak was inhabited by spirits. Later, settlers, hikers, and climbers faced the mountain's treacherous terrain with little preparation, sometimes meeting sudden accidents, falls, or harsh conditions that led to injury or death. Wandering its slopes and cliffs, either as guardians, warnings, or restless souls unable to leave. This blend of historical tragedy and natural challenge contributes to the mountain's enduring mystique. Group experiences along Mount Diablo's trails often reinforce the reports of the supernatural. Hikers traveling together sometimes witness the same shadowy figures, hear identical whispers, or feel sudden chills at the same moment. Cameras and electronic devices occasionally malfunction during these experiences, flickering or cutting out without reason, further adding to the impression that the mountain responds to the presence of the living. Even seasoned climbers report a growing sense of unease in certain areas, as if the terrain itself is aware of their movements. Fog and weather changes play a significant role in shaping Mount Diablo's haunted atmosphere. On foggy mornings, visibility is limited, and the familiar trails take on an otherworldly quality. Mist clings to the rocks and trees, stretching shadows and transforming natural shapes into something seemingly alive. Hikers often report seeing apparitions more clearly under these conditions, with ghostly forms drifting among the cliffs or standing on ridgelines before vanishing into the fog. The combination of reduced visibility, unusual lighting, and natural echoes creates an environment where perception is easily manipulated, and the boundary between the living and the spirit world feels thin. Certain areas of Mount Diablo are particularly associated with paranormal activity. Rock outcroppings, narrow ridges, and isolated sections of forest are frequent hotspots for strange encounters. Hikers entering these regions often experience an immediate sense of caution, a feeling that the mountain itself is aware of their presence. Even familiar paths can seem transformed at night or in fog, with distances appearing longer, shadows deepening, and sounds amplified unnaturally. These experiences have cemented the mountain's reputation as a location where the natural and supernatural intersect. Despite its eerie reputation, Mount Diablo remains a popular destination for hikers, climbers, and nature lovers. Its steep trails, panoramic views, and unique rock formations continue to draw visitors year-round. Those aware of the mountain's haunted history often approach with heightened vigilance, prepared for the shadowy figures, sudden chills, and strange sounds that many have experienced. For some, the mountain's atmosphere of mystery is part of its allure, providing a sense of wonder and respect for the landscape's deep history. Mount Diablo State Park is more than a scenic hiking location. It is a place where history, natural beauty, and the unexplained converge. Shadowy figures, disembodied whispers, and sudden chills remind hikers that the mountain carries memory, energy, and perhaps spirits of those who never returned. Traversing its trails, especially on foggy mornings or quiet evenings, can leave visitors with a profound sense of the unseen, awareness that the mountain itself may be alive, observing, guiding, or haunting those who venture across its rugged slopes. Point Lobos State Natural Reserve, perched along the rugged coastline of Monterey County, is celebrated for its breathtaking cliffs, turquoise waters, and windswept trails that wind through cypress groves and rocky outcrops. By day, the reserve is a haven for hikers, photographers, and nature enthusiasts, offering panoramic views of the Pacific Ocean and the opportunity to observe sea lions, otters, and migrating whales. Yet beneath its stunning scenery lies a history steeped in tragedy, mystery, and ghostly lore. Many who walk the trails after dawn or linger into the evening report experiences that defy explanation. Shadowy figures glimpsed among the rocks, sudden gusts of cold wind that seem to emerge from nowhere, and ghostly cries echoing off the cliffs. These encounters are often linked to the spirits of shipwrecked sailors, lost to the treacherous coast and said to wander Point Lobos eternally. One of the most common experiences reported by visitors is a sudden and inexplicable change in temperature. Hikers often describe moments when a warm, sunny day abruptly feels icy, a chill that cuts through jackets and layers. These sudden gusts of cold air are frequently accompanied by an eerie sensation of being watched. Some hikers report goosebumps along their arms or the unmistakable feeling of a presence passing close by, even when the surrounding trails are empty. These physical sensations, subtle yet deeply unsettling, are often the first hint that the natural beauty of Point Lobos may conceal something more sinister. Shadowy figures are among the most frequently described phenomena. Visitors speak of glimpsing humanoid silhouettes darting among the rocks or standing at cliff edges, appearing and disappearing almost instantly. These shapes are often indistinct, blending with the jagged terrain and the shifting fog that rolls in from the ocean. Some hikers describe seeing figures that seem to follow them along the trail, only to vanish when approached. Others report stationary forms, watching silently from a distance before fading into the shadows. The fleeting nature of these sightings leaves a lasting impression, heightening tension and fostering a sense of mystery that lingers long after the trail is behind them. Auditory anomalies are equally compelling. Hikers recount hearing faint cries carried by the wind, echoing off the cliffs in a way that seems both distant and immediate. The sounds are sometimes interpreted as the wails of sailors who perished in shipwrecks along the coast, their spirits trapped by the unforgiving sea. Others have reported whispers among the cypress trees, unintelligible but unmistakably human. The voices often appear to respond to hikers' movements, fading when attention is focused on them and returning when the trail is quiet again. Some visitors have also described hearing the clash of waves mingled with faint, ghostly footsteps, as if the rocks themselves were alive with the memories of the past. Point Lobos' haunted reputation is tied closely to its history. The coastline has claimed countless ships over the centuries, with treacherous rocks, sudden storms, and heavy fog creating deadly conditions for sailors. Maritime records detail wrecks and disappearances, leaving families mourning lost loved ones and communities haunted by the knowledge that the cliffs are dangerous and unforgiving. Folklore suggests that some sailors never truly left, their spirits wandering the shoreline in search of safety or companionship, eternally drawn to the places where they met their ends. Hikers encountering strange lights, whispers, or figures often interpret these experiences as the lingering presence of those lost souls. Environmental conditions amplify the sense of the supernatural. At Point Lobos, fog rolling in from the ocean can reduce visibility to a few feet, turning familiar cliffs and trails into shifting, shadowed landscapes. The sound of crashing waves reverberates off the rocks, blending with the cries and whispers that some visitors claim to hear. The cypress groves and jagged rock formations create natural corridors that funnel sound in unexpected ways, enhancing the feeling that voices come from all directions. Wildlife can behave strangely in these conditions as well. Birds may suddenly take flight in a panic, or seals may bark from the shoreline seemingly without cause, reinforcing the perception of unseen watchers. Group experiences often reinforce reports of paranormal activity. Hikers traveling together sometimes observe the same shadowy forms or hear identical cries and whispers, suggesting that these experiences are not merely individual imagination. Electronic devices like cameras or flashlights occasionally fail in these moments, flickering or shutting down inexplicably, further adding to the impression that the reserve is alive with unseen presences. Even seasoned hikers, familiar with the terrain, describe an intense, unshakable feeling of unease along certain cliffside trails, as though the spirits themselves are aware of those who traverse the paths. Certain areas of Point Lobos are particularly associated with supernatural encounters. Rocky promontories jutting into the ocean, narrow cliffside trails, and secluded coves are frequently cited as hotspots. Hikers entering these areas often feel an immediate sense of caution, sensing that the land itself is aware of their presence. Shadows stretch unnaturally across the rocks, fog drifts in patterns that seem deliberate, and the echoes of wind and waves can take on a haunting, almost vocal quality. These experiences create a profound sense of mystery, leaving visitors to wonder what is natural and what belongs to another realm entirely. Despite its haunted reputation, Point Lobos State Natural Reserve remains a beloved destination for hikers, photographers, and nature enthusiasts. Its cliffs, cypress groves, and ocean vistas continue to draw visitors year-round. Yet those aware of the reserve's eerie history approach with heightened caution, prepare for sudden chills, shadowy figures, and the faint cries of sailors long lost to the sea. Point Lobos offers both breathtaking beauty and an awareness of the past's persistent presence, a place where natural majesty and ghostly echoes coexist along the rugged California coast. Big Sur, stretching along the central coast of California through Monterey and San Luis Obispo counties, is celebrated for its dramatic cliffs, winding coastal trails, and dense, mist-shrouded forests. By day, the region offers unparalleled vistas of the Pacific Ocean, towering redwoods, and rugged canyons that beckon hikers, photographers, and nature lovers from around the world. Yet beneath its striking beauty lies a history filled with peril, tragedy, and stories of strange occurrences that have earned Big Sur a reputation as one of the state's most haunted landscapes. Hikers and locals alike report sudden, unexplained mists rolling in along trails, voices carried on the wind, and fleeting glimpses of shadowy, humanoid forms darting among the trees and cliffs. Many believe these phenomena are the lingering presences of travelers lost to Big Sur's treacherous terrain, eternally wandering the trails where nature and the supernatural converge. One of the most commonly reported experiences in Big Sur is the sudden appearance of thick, low-lying fog or mist. Hikers describe sections of the trail that were clear just moments before being enveloped in dense white vapor, reducing visibility to only a few feet. This mist often seems unnatural, lingering in pockets and drifting against the wind, as if guided by some unseen presence. Many hikers report an accompanying chill, despite warm weather, and a palpable feeling of being observed. The sudden obscurity can disorient even experienced outdoorsmen, leaving them with an uneasy sense that they are not alone in the forest or along the cliffside paths. Shadowy figures are a hallmark of Big Sur's haunted lore. Hikers frequently describe seeing dark, humanoid shapes moving between trees, disappearing into the mist, or standing motionless on cliff edges before vanishing when approached. These forms are often indistinct, their features obscured by fog or darkness, yet their presence is undeniable. Some hikers report figures that seem to mirror their movements, following at a distance. while others describe encounters where the shadows vanish instantly when a flashlight or headlamp is directed toward them. The elusive nature of these figures adds to the pervasive sense of mystery and heightens the trail's reputation for supernatural activity. Auditory experiences are equally unsettling. Hikers often report hearing voices or whispers carried on the wind, sometimes indistinct, other times forming clear words. These sounds can appear to come from all directions, echoing through the forest or across the cliffs, and vanish as soon as one attempts to pinpoint their source. Many describe hearing footsteps behind them along empty trails, the crunch of leaves and twigs growing louder, only for no one to be visible when they turn around. Some hikers also report soft cries or sighs, reminiscent of travelers who may have succumbed to the unforgiving terrain, their spirits eternally wandering the coastal paths. The geography and history of Big Sur contribute to the eerie atmosphere. The region's steep cliffs, dense forests, and remote trails have long posed challenges to hikers and travelers. Historical records and local folklore speak of accidents, sudden falls, and missing hikers who were never found. Some believe that these lost souls remain tied to the land, wandering the same paths where they met their end. The blend of natural danger, tragic history, and mystical ambience has created a landscape where the line between reality and the supernatural often seems blurred. Group experiences along the trails further support accounts of paranormal activity. Hikers traveling together sometimes witness the same shadowy figures or hear identical whispers, reinforcing the idea that these phenomena are not simply individual imagination. Electronic devices such as cameras and flashlights occasionally fail during these moments, flickering or shutting down inexplicably, further adding to the perception that some unseen force is present. Even seasoned hikers report a deep, unshakable sense of being watched in certain areas, particularly near cliff edges, secluded groves, or narrow canyon trails. Certain trails and landmarks are particularly associated with ghostly encounters. Remote cliffside paths, isolated forest trails, and narrow canyon passages are often cited as hotspots. Hikers report immediate unease upon entering these areas, with shadows stretching unnaturally and sounds amplifying in ways that defy normal acoustics. The rugged terrain seems to interact with the senses, creating illusions of movement, presence, or sound that may not be entirely explainable. For many, these experiences leave an indelible impression, reinforcing the idea that Big Sur's natural beauty is inseparable from its supernatural energy. Wildlife and environmental phenomena also contribute to Big Sur's haunted ambience. Birds may suddenly take flight in apparent alarm, or nocturnal animals appear in unexpected places, intensifying the feeling that something unseen is observing. The constant presence of wind, fog, and crashing waves creates a backdrop that can make ordinary sounds, rustling leaves, snapping branches, distant ocean surf, take on an eerie, almost human quality. Many hikers report a heightened sensitivity to these elements, interpreting ordinary environmental changes as signs of something otherworldly. Despite its haunted reputation, Big Sur remains a popular destination for hikers, nature enthusiasts, and photographers. Its cliffs, forests, and panoramic ocean views continue to attract visitors year-round. Those aware of the region's eerie lore approach the trails with a mixture of caution and fascination, mindful of shadowy figures, sudden mists, and the distant cries that have been reported for generations. For many, the combination of breathtaking scenery and the ever-present sense of mystery is what makes Big Sur unforgettable. Big Sur's coastal trails and forested paths are more than scenic hiking routes. They are corridors where history, tragedy, and the unexplained converge. Shadowy figures, whispering winds, and sudden chills serve as reminders that the land retains memory and energy, that travelers who vanished may still linger along the cliffs and trails. Those who venture into Big Sur's remote wilderness may leave with more than memories of natural beauty. They may carry an awareness that the mountain, forest, and coast are alive in ways that remain unseen, walking alongside the living in silent, spectral company. And there you have it. 25 of the most haunted hikes in California. Each one a reminder that beauty and terror often walk hand in hand. From the towering redwoods to foggy coastal cliffs, these trails carry stories of tragedy, mystery, and spirits that refuse to rest. Whether you hike them by day or venture along them at night, remember, the mountains, forests, and coastlines of California hold more than just breathtaking views. They hold echoes of the past, whispers of the lost, and shadows that watch silently from the trees. If you ever find yourself on one of these trails, keep your eyes open, your ears alert, and your courage close. You may witness the unseen, feel the presence of the departed, or hear a whisper that reminds you. Some paths are haunted, and some stories never truly end. Thank you for joining me tonight. Until our next journey into the shadows, tread carefully, respect the spirits, and remember California's haunted trails are always waiting, watching, and telling their tales.